evening and welcome to ELOSOFUMARTAKES. This is our 295th take, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star Studio of Azle, Texas. I'm your host, Barry Duplessis, as always, and I'm so proud, so pleased, and so privileged to be with you all tonight. This is going to be a fantastic show. We are in the thick of it, the 20 Days of United Cigars, 20 Days of Freedom campaign. It is so exciting. So awesome, and we've been smoking some amazing cigars for the last 10 days. We got 10 days more of amazing cigars to go with our campaign, and it's my pleasure to bring you tonight's guest. But before we get to formal introductions of our guests of honor, we do have to thank the people that make this show possible, and that, of course, is our sponsors. And tonight's show is sponsored by Drew Estate. Drew Estate has done it once again. They have released another special brand and a special cigar in the Liga Privanico Unico Series line. Yes, the new Bakwa, a lunar themed cigar in the Liga Privanico Unico Series line. The Bakwa, a lunar New Year celebration cigar. Drew Estate introduced the Liga Privanico Unico Series Bakwa, a cigar crafted to honor lunar New Year traditions, exclusively available through COH Cigars in Hong Kong. So pretty awesome stuff there. The full-body Churchill-sized cigar features a Connecticut stock-cut wrapper, delivering a robust, complex flavor profile designed to echo the festive Lunar New Year spirit. Inspired by the Chinese delicacy bakwa, a symbol of good fortune and prosperity, this cigar aims to blend cultural significance with a luxurious smoking experience. So hop on the next plane to Hong Kong or find your nearest True Diplomat retailer. They may have a beeline on a fine collector that could get you one of these rare cigars from Drew Estate. But Drew Estate has done it once again with the new Liga Privanico Unico Series Bakwa. Check it out if you're ever in Hong Kong, or like I said, check out your Drew Diplomat retailers. Maybe they know a collector or two, and get yourselves one of these fantastic cigars. And welcome, everybody. This is our 295th take, and we are honored to have you all tonight. If you are checking us out on Facebook Live or later on our YouTube channel, ELOSOFUMAR, or perhaps you're listening to us via podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that be on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts, including iHeartRadio. Tonight's audio broadcast is sponsored by Grand Habano Cigars. Honest, compassionate, great cigars. Be sure you download, subscribe, and review today. So without further ado, tonight's guest of honor is sponsored by United Cigars. Smoke one today, start living United. It's himself, Mr. Oliver Nivaud of United Cigar Group. Oliver, how you doing tonight?
And the crowd goes wild. Doing great, Bear. Man, it's good. It's good to be back. Good to be here with you, enjoying a Sunday night with the ELOSOFUMAR crowd. So no complaints.
Awesome.
Outside of just being sore from aging, moving stuff around.
I was going to say
running around, but all
you're
good.
Building stuff, man. You're getting on your best Tim the Toolman Taylor / Bob the Builder / throw the building metaphor at it, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bob Vila.
Bob Villa, yeah. Bob, man. What inspired the deck? Is there a certain thing that you're going for? You wanted a space and there wasn't a space at the new place?
No, yeah. So there was an existing deck. It's like 16. I think it was a 16 by 16 deck that was just aging. The support beams are fine. The structurally everything's fine. It was just the railings and then the floorboards, the stairs. So cutting new stringers and getting everything done, just put some railing in, but you can see behind me, you see the posts. So we went with the Trek, that Trek system. So just want some life on the deck, and just enjoy the few summer months that we have in New England. We're already June.
Right, no joke. Yeah. So this is gonna be a 2025 enjoyment project. Unfortunately,
right,
probably.
Right. I give it another 2 weeks max. But then there's other additions, like adding stairs in the front, so that'll go down to like a gravel paver area, shaded under a tree. But I just mean New England, we only have a couple months of warm weather. It's not like Texas.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was gonna say. When does it start turning cool? Is it like early August, late August that it starts?
What, cooling?
Yeah.
You cut out. I missed what you said. When does it start cooling?
Yeah, it was just start cooling like late August, early September.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it gets a little tricky, right? I'd say September. Kids start going back to school, and you might have a couple nice days, but whatever. Look, it warms up the water. We're by the ocean, but it's not warm water, so it doesn't matter what time of year. It's gonna be a little chilly in the water, but that's a nice way to kind of get a little refresh. So I'd say, yeah, it's right around September
Nice.
starts to cool down. Yeah,
Awesome.
but yeah, it heats up.
Have you always been pretty handy? Is it like, or like projects like this been like a more recent thing or more adult?
Um, no, no, I've always been handy. I don't know what it is. I just kind of got into it. I always wanted to be a part of it. I think growing up in so my my background, I think we
Yeah,
might have
I mean
touched
that's
on it
what I was gonna
before.
say. You've
But
told the Renaissance man. I mean, you've been all over the world, done.
yeah, yeah, my
But
dad was in the hotel business, so we moved. I was born in Boston, but then we moved. I was here for a couple of years. Then we went to so I think it was Boston to Chicago for about a year or so. Then we went to London for like 2 years, and then so I was in kindergarten, and then we went to France for
I was gonna s-
a little under a year, and then we moved back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for those were all my middle school years up until eighth grade. I was there, and then we moved to New York City for a year for my freshman year in high school, and then we moved back to Boston, Massachusetts, where we ended up in Cohasset. So I think right when I left New York and going from the city life for just a year, which was a huge transition going from Milwaukee, Wisconsin out to the New York City. But I got a book that was like a do it yourself, and it might have been like a Home Depot book, or it was I just remember like the orange, but it was like a do it yourself. So it was everything, building a deck to electrical to plumbing. You could just look it
wow.
up and fix it. So I just kind of got into it, and I'm not great, but I think it cost me more. Like a deck that would cost somebody a couple thousand ends up costing me double because of trial and error. But look, we get it done.
Well, it's better than the 20 grand that you would pay someone else to do it.
Right, exactly.
So
Yeah, and like
eh,
when I was in Vegas, the house. So when I bought a house there, we redid the kitchen, but we gutted. Like it was a smaller kitchen, so we gutted which was the sink that kind of cut off the kitchen, gutted that and extended the sink out to the window so that it overlooked the backyard. So I mean, we're cutting in the foundation, but it was my friend's dad that was doing the work, and I was there helping him out. So learning from him, and I can't, I can say that I'm not going to be the one that can just, all right, I'll take the project and I can do it, right? But if there's someone there guiding me, helping me, and doing some of the stuff, then I can work around it.
that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get um the opportunity to be a little bit work with more my hands. I think there's something really cool about like any kind of times you do any kind of project, big or small, and like you know, you did it. It's pretty awesome. So I'm gonna have to redo the
Yeah.
floor in my kitchen at some point. I'll definitely have some help because I'm not tackling my first time doing that by myself, but
Yeah.
I definitely want to pitch in and help because I think that'll be a really cool experience. Pain,
Yeah.
but really cool at the same
Yeah.
time. So,
It's a pain, and then it's the time, right?
mhm.
Finding time to do. You have to either take some time off, or um, or you just need help, or it's going to be a project like you were talking about. It's going to be a project that will be a deck being done for 2025. But I want to be able to enjoy it for the summer. So we got some help coming in, and see what we can do to get it done faster.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
Oliver, I know you've already got lit up something. You've got yourself poured a drink, so let's take care of the same over here on this end. For those following us,
Amen.
following me on Instagram, a great lineup of United cigars for Oliver to choose from. Probably got a hunch on probably one of the two he's probably going to pick, but you never know. That's the whole point. So we have a Garofalo La Familia, a Abuelo
Yeah, you go
Padre.
from Nicaragua. You went from Nicaragua to Honduras
All right. I've got
so
the
far.
Jose Dominguez,
Yeah, Dominican,
the Natural Fino,
fantastic. Yeah.
the Red Anchor Admiral, Cigar Coupe Top 30 cigar right here.
Hmm.
United Cigar Maduro, Elos Fumar top 10 cigar right here. The new Gold Star Limited, and also the new United Cigar Connecticut as well. So what am I smoking tonight, Oliver?
That's so. Look, I think knowing the history of the show, we have some time. You could even start with that. If you start with a more of that Connecticut lighter shade, Jose Dominguez, and then I'll be lighting up a red anchor afterwards. So and knowing you, who you are, and why we're doing 20 days of United, and your love of as mine, your love for the flag and all things military. Maybe go with the Gold Star.
Okay, so start Jose Dominguez and go to Gold Star. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
All right, cool, awesome. Right, it's exciting. Well, as I'm lighting that up, what did you pour yourself?
So I went with Casa Noble, and it's a tequila, but Casa Noble, I'm drinking the Añejo.
Oh, nice.
And Casa Noble is a company, and it's a fantastic tequila. First of all, the Blanco Reposado, the Añejo, and then their Marquez, their Extra Añejo, fantastic line. And it's a brand that I've been drinking for a long time, but I just happened to run into their national rep in Chicago one night, and she introduced to her by another Salt, sister of the Leaf, and we just started talking, and I was like, well, I've been drinking Casa Noble for a long time, and she's like, well, I'm just getting into cigars, but I love your brands, and what it represents. And so then we started talking about collaborating and what could we do. So we started doing these tastings, these flight tastings of tequila, matched with the red anchor, and sometimes some higher ticketed events we'll do with either the Alfonso or Byron 1850. And the reason we pair it with those is the Byron 1850 and the Alfonso are aged in rooms with French oak, and their tequila is aged with French oak. So it was just a nice pairing. So we started doing that with with them. We have some some flight trays coming out, and it's a fun pairing. It's a fun night because tequila is still one of those spirits that is a little apprehensive for some. Everyone's had a bad experience, so it's fun seeing the reactions. Yeah, they're drinking bad tequila.
Yeah.
So to see their reaction, we just did one at Humidor Westmont in Chicago, Illinois. I think I was out there 2 weeks ago now. All these weeks are blending together. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and there were a lot of people coming up and taking pictures of the tequila because they were surprised. Nice. So it's a great pairing.
Well, I think I'm gonna step off camera for 2 seconds and grab a bottle of tequila too. Why not? Get in the spirit.
Oh, yeah, amen. Well, while you're doing that, I want to say hi to the Knights of the Leaf, KOTL guys in New York. Looks like we got a couple of them. Got Omega out there. Got Migs. Like to eat, like to booze. Follow him for all your New York restaurant advice.
Nice. So
we got Hendrick.
This is a really
my man.
Oh, Hendrick's tuning in too. Okay.
No, yeah.
No, but I saw Sabalas, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Not Hendrick with the red anchor.
So this is really unique. So this is a Hacienda de Tepa. It's a reposado, but it's a Cristalino. So it's got the age, but it's absolutely clear.
But then filtered.
And
filter the color out.
It's so good. I pulled it out of my freezer too. So
nice. Oh, and then we got some Texas representation. Pito, my man, he just moved out to San Antonio. I think there are a couple East Coast guys that just moved out to Texas.
We bring them in from all over, man. So
yeah, San Antonio. Actually, Pito, I think, moved out to Austin. But either way, Texas.
Great tacos, man.
they're smart, man. Smart move.
Great.
I still get Central. Oh, he's in Central Texas. I still get Zillow emails for properties in Prosper, Salina, Texas.
Oh, really?
Because for a while there, I was like, all right, I'm moving, I'm getting out, leaving the East Coast. But my kids just they love the East Coast, and my son's going to school in New
New
Hampshire,
Hampshire.
playing
Yeah.
playing baseball at Franklin Pierce, and then so he wants to stay on the East Coast. My daughter wants to stay on the East Coast, but she's going to University of Leeds next year. So that's in the UK.
Hmm.
So she's off and gone. But yeah, Texas is off the radar for right now.
Well, we would welcome you with open arms, Oliver. So, but I mean that will bring us into tonight's major point, which is always brought to you by Gran Habano Cigars. From the fertile hands of Honduras, George Rico and his family have put together the very best vintages for you. Yep, that's you, the cigar smoker. From value-based hits like the Corojo Number 5 to the award-winning 20th anniversary to special projects like Zulu Zulu, Gran Habano is about cultivating the best and making pinnacle cigars for the market. Culture, tradition, quality, premium, handcrafted. That's Gran Habano Cigars. So that was going to be something I was asking you. I saw I've been following your son. At Franklin Pierce. I know he had typical freshman year, didn't get a lot of playing time, it looked like. But I mean, what a great experience. It looks like a great squad that he's on. I did notice I found it interesting. There's a kid from France on the
Yeah,
team, and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
where he's from. I was like, oh, that's a small world. So
yeah, yeah. What are the chances, right? Two
mhm,
French kids on a baseball team.
no
Yeah,
joke.
they fared well. He didn't get a lot of play time. I think and he knows it, but he did spring training. We went out to Myrtle Beach, and he was put into, and I say this gingerly, but he was put into a tough position. But mentally, he should have been prepared, but he wasn't. Um, and they put him in the lineup late in the game, and then it ended up, where he played the last inning, and then he was up to bat, and he comes up to bat with two outs, bases loaded, and froze. He didn't even swing. I think there
Oh,
were two balls, two balls, so good eye at first, and then it was a called strike, and then he did a check swing, which wasn't a strike. And I'm not just saying that to be the dad, but it wasn't a strike, so I think that even messed him up more. Our bench, freaked out on it, but it was a called strike. And then he got another ball, and then he took the third strike looking, and I'm like, you didn't even try to make a play, and it's just, make something happen. He froze, and that was a learning lesson for him.
yeah.
And then
Inexperience. I
yeah,
mean, they're freshmen for a reason. I mean, he's been playing his whole life, but it's a different
oh, it's
stage,
different.
different arena.
Yeah, no, and it's different now. Look, we were talking about the College World Series. I was watching that, and it was funny seeing, and hearing, um the announcer saying, "Oh, this kid's freshman, this kid's freshman, sophomore." But a lot of the freshmen aren't freshmen, true freshmen anymore. They're
Right.
coming in through the transfer portal. They've taken a year or two, and they're older,
Yeah, they're
so
20,
they have more
20-year-old
experience.
freshman. Yeah, 20-year-old
Yeah,
freshman.
yeah, which is great. Look, it's great for them. I'm not putting them down, but it's just not that easy. And he felt that he knows that it was mentally, because he even got the call to start the first game of the season. But again, first at bat, struck out, and then in the field he had one play but short hopped it, and he wasn't mentally ready. And then he got injured.
Oh no.
Had a back
Yeah,
injury, so he's going through some PT now, but he'll be good. He'll be good to go. He
he'll
knows
go
that he
from.
knows what needs to be done, and he's been working hard,
Does he get
right?
to keep his
18
red
minutes a
shirt?
day.
Does he get to red shirt? Even
So
though.
that's what he's working on now. With the doctor's note, he should be able to redshirt.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so
That's
another
great.
year of eligibility,
Yeah,
which
with
is yeah,
limited time,
fantastic.
I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember how it was in baseball. I know the rules around football just because it's so publicized. And you'd think as much as I follow baseball that I would know a little bit more. But I know it sucks that the rules are different for each sport though. Like it should be like a percentage of games, like or a
Yeah,
percentage of a season, and like that should be flat. across all sports, men, women, you name it,
Right.
doesn't matter. But to simplify it, but of course the NCAA doesn't do anything right or simple. I mean, what?
Oh yeah, it's all different. Yeah, for baseball, I think I forget what it is because we looked it up. So he qualifies because it was a certain amount of innings that played or a certain amount of games. So yeah, hopefully he'll get that red shirt and look, he's got a good head on his shoulders where he wants to stay on. He wants to, he's already talking about getting his masters there and stay on with the team and um, get the education portion of it down. So
It's
he's
awesome.
got a plan, which is good. Yeah.
It's good. I mean,
What's up, Yogi?
do you think he'll play professional baseball? No, when I say professional, I mean of course major leagues would be great, but I'm talking about
Right, right.
do you think he'll at least play some minor league ball? Do you think he'll get to that opportunity?
I
Does he even want it?
so it's always yeah, yeah, he wants it. He wants it. And I think with his determination and his work ethic, without jinxing anything, I think he will because, and I only say it not because I'm the dad that says my kid's the best because I'm I'm so hard on him, but I say it because he's disciplined. Where
Mhm.
this morning his game, he had a doubleheader today. He plays in the Cranberry League, which is a collegiate adult league, and his games were canceled, but he went to the cages and he went to hit for an hour. So every day he's out there,
Mhm.
and 18, what is it, 18 minutes a day, um, will get you, to be in the top 83 percentile of mastering a craft.
Mhm.
And he's out there working it, and he's coachable.
Yeah.
So I think with those two things, he'll be able to do it. And look, early on, I always told him, I said, you don't have the natural talent. It wasn't a gift given to you. You're
Yeah.
athletic,
You're like, I'm
but
sorry about
you
that,
have to work
son. That's
harder.
my fault. But
Yeah, look, yeah, look, we're not, look, Dustin, like you're not a Pedroia.
yeah.
That's his guy, right? Um, some of these guys are they're natural. They work hard too, right? But they're just natural, and they have this ability.
Yeah.
But he's athletic. He just needs to work harder than a lot of the kids out there. And so yeah, I think with his passion and drive, he'll be able to get something.
Yeah, if I had had the discipline um that your son has, um I think I could have done I think I could have gone at least as far as he did.
Yeah,
But that was something that really I'll always be a fan. I'm a fan of yours, Oliver, but I'll always be a fan of your son. I remember the first week of COVID happens, cages are shut down. He can't go anywhere. So what does this kid do? He puts up a bed sheet in your all's garage and he's fucking hitting
yeah,
off a tape. I was like,
yeah,
who the hell is this kid? Like, oh my gosh.
right,
So like, I'll always be a fan, man. So
yeah, yeah. And it was nothing fancy either, because
yeah,
that's what I told him. Like some of the kids are getting these $1,000 cages and nettings and all this stuff, and he did the Rocky in Russia. He
yeah,
was he was just doing what he could to get his reps in. And I remember I posted a video because he wanted to field grounders in the house. So we had a tennis ball, and I'm watching football, and I'm just fielding them grounders over and over.
it's awesome.
So he just loves it. And as long as you love it and you're having fun, then
Yeah,
you know
yeah. I don't think I think my son will do maybe a couple more years of little league and stuff and that, but he has fun. He has fun at practice. He loves his teammates. He loves his coaches.
yeah,
Um, he liked games a lot more this season. He didn't get hit. He didn't get beamed this year, so that this season that was a plus. His first year of kid pitch, first pitch of kid pitch, in the fall. Oliver, first time he's ever seen a kid pitch at him. Like no one had ever practiced with him. Like we didn't have any kids practice with him. His first game, first pitch, and he gets just absolutely just drilled in the forearm. He's like, what?
how
Like I mean, he just looked at me like,
what is
what
that,
happened?
right?
What? Why
Right,
would you do that? Why would he do
right,
that? Like the kid did it on purpose.
yeah.
So, and
But how was he? So more importantly, how was he the next at bat?
Oh yeah, the first season Kitch pitch was dreadful, Oliver. Like yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
he was he
right.
he was scared.
Yeah,
He was scared every at bat almost and stuff. But I mean, I got him to hang in there, and then I agreed to coach this past season, so I got to coach him, which was a thrill of a
it's
lifetime.
awesome.
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he it was like the first he was like he forgot about it. You know, he still mentioned it
Yeah,
because he's got a freaking elephant's memory, but
that's
I
good.
was like, oh God, man, we're gonna go through this again. But no, he hung in there like and it was never a problem. It was never a problem this past season, so it was great. And he
That's
saw a
awesome.
lot faster pitching this season too. So it was like, you know, there was one kid from another town that was just throwing bullets, and I'm just like, and was throwing bullets, but it was like nuclear Lucia out there, and just was all over the place. I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna hit my kid.
Right.
This is gonna suck. And he
Well,
ducked out of way. He ducked out of the way of one
yeah,
of them, man. He would have gotten
yeah.
that would have been awful. So
That's such a strange age because there are kids that are developed. Some are fully developed almost, right?
yeah.
Like they're monsters at that age, but then they never get bigger.
Hmm.
Some just develop along the way. So you have, um, I think what is it, 10 to 13? Is that, for us that Babe Ruth league? So you have, kids that are pitching gas,
Yeah.
for a mound that's what, 40 feet at that on that small diamond.
Yeah.
I think it's right. So
Yeah. And
it's coming in a lot faster.
they're hitting high, high 60s, low
Yeah,
six, even
which
six is the equivalent of 30 miles an
of
hour
an
faster.
right. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say which is like a 90-mile-an-hour pitch. I would like to say we got Nick Montana, Dominican. His mom just went to her first baseball game at Yankee Stadium
Oh, that's cool.
today, to yesterday or today. I
Oh,
don't know. I'll
wow.
mention it.
That's a,
But yeah,
I mean,
that's pretty cool.
I mean, even as a Red Sox fan, that's a place. If you're gonna go to your first baseball game, that's a place to do it.
Yeah, I
That's
haven't been to the new stadium yet. Went to the old one, but yeah. So one thing for Luke, what I did, I told him, pain is temporary, and that has just stuck with him. And I don't know if you remember the post, but he never like fully got out of the way. Like if the kid, if the ball isn't breaking right, he would just kind of turn and he got hit and got on base.
hmm
That's it. He wasn't afraid of getting hit. So um, that I think that's such a big part of baseball, and people that haven't played or don't play or don't appreciate the game don't fully understand what that ball can do
Yeah,
between the movement and the speed and the sound of it zipping by you. It's a different animal.
yeah, for
So
sure. Yeah, well, my son caught in coach pitch, and man, that kid, you could run over him with a freight train. He didn't care. He had his body armor on.
yeah, that's awesome.
So, I mean, I spent admittedly too much, but I mean, he looks like fucking Russell Crowe now with his like gladiator. He's got an
Yeah,
armband, an elbow guard, and then he's got the chin guard, and he feels invincible now. So that's all that matters.
there you go.
So
I love it. Love it.
so, but as we kind of as with tonight's with you having you on tonight, Oliver, this is day 10 of our 20 days of United Cigars, and we did this last year. It was a campaign that we talked about doing, and I'd given you this idea, and it kind of just came out of nowhere. Just
Yeah,
I did some simple did some simple math, and I was like, wouldn't it be funny? How many days is between Flag Day and Nation's Independence Day? And sure enough, it's 20 days. And I look at him, I'm like, Box United is 20 cigars, right? And
yeah,
sure enough, yeah, 20
it's great.
cigars. And so we did this 20 days of United cigars. Basically, you can buy a box wherever your closest United retailer and join us. And it's been fun. I've been posting. Last year I did all patriotic quotes, and now I'm still mixing up the normal quotes. On my Instagram posts are always my thing and everything like that. But
Yeah,
um, this year I'm doing a little bit different thanks to you. Smoking a lot of the, again, all United cigars, but going back and forth between the New Connecticut, the Natural, the Maduro, and then of course the Gold Star Limited, which I'll be smoking as well tonight, and then obviously in the coming days as well and stuff. That cigar, I mean, let's just start right there. Before we kind of go into the campaign, I really gotta, Oliver, I gotta tip my hat to you, man. This a limited edition cigar. It's a great cause, great story, and this cigar is an absolute banger. Holy cow!
Thank you.
It's
Thank you. Thank you.
fantastic. So tell us a little bit about this. For our audience who may not know, share us the story of the Gold Star Limited, and and please, as you break my heart a little bit more, tell me why it's a limited edition, because it's so freaking good.
Yeah. No, thank you. First of all, thank you for that, because that is incredibly humbling. Yeah, um, I've been smoking cigars since '88, which is just kind of scary. And I started in the industry in '98 and working in Vegas. And even in Vegas, we started talking about because I was working side by side with the buyer, but it was him, myself, and then the owner. Um, and and so we kind of did everything together. From like, if the toilet needed to be plunged, it was, we're doing that. If we're opening up a new store, it was the operations behind it for the setup. So it was everything, running the gamut. We had a couple lines that we didn't manufacture, but we were private labels. So that was kind of my first experience into it. We had one that we did with Lido Gomez at the time, with La Flor Dominicana, which was our Las Vegas tube. So really didn't have any outside of just saying, hey, can we change this a little bit? Any blending, um, knowledge or input on it. But that was one that we did with him. We worked with, at the time, it was Consolidated Tobacco. We did one for us. And then we did a flavored line called Sweet Daddies, which which was fantastic. But man, trying those samples when they came in, I had a metal tin that we got from Lowe's or Home Depot, this metal trash can, small one, and we would just taste it, take a couple puffs, and we're like, all right, yeah, that tastes like orange. All right, throw it in. Like, all right, that's good. So that was kind of like my first venture into it. But even then, we were saying, hey, look, we should really, because we were making trips down to the Dominican, and we were saying we should really do a blend. And but never had the opportunity. So when I started with United Cigars in 2016, I would say about a year or two into it, that's where the opportunity came to redesign the packaging, get more involved with the blending, and David Garofalo has been a tremendous support in that, and a believer in, I guess, what I can do, and working with others, the relationship. So
Mhm.
with this one, with the Gold Star limited release, when the FDA was coming down, and we had to keep certain brands, and certain brands had to kind of go away. There was one brand in there, aside from others, that I just said, look, we need to keep this because it has a lot of potential. Because a Gold Star Gold Star actually launched in 97, 98, and it was just a house brand. It wasn't anything national. And looking at Gold Star, it was something that, look, if you see a Gold Star, you're going to know and recognize it, right?
Right.
And you'll say Gold Star. Just like Red Anchor was another one. When you see a Red Anchor, now you'll know. If you don't know the name of the cigar, people always describe the bands, and they're like, oh, it had this, had a
Yeah,
red in
this
it,
red anchor.
had
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly.
So so Gold Star we kept, and then it happened where I was like, okay, I want to bring this one to life, and started working on the design, which was kind of simple anyway. I was like, it's going to be a Gold Star. Well, at that time, David has a friend that has is part of Swim with a Mission. He's on the board of Swim with a Mission, which is a foundation to help um, veterans and Navy SEALs. And he had come into the office and started saying, hey, we're thinking, I love cigars, we're thinking of doing this, this project. Could you guys do something? And we're like, well, it's funny you're saying that. Oliver's in the, I think I was in the Dominican at the time, not working on Gold Star, but just there. And he said that we're working on a brand called Gold Star, so we could do something. And then that turned into working with them. He was also the guy who was on the Swim with a Mission board. Um, very close with the Navy SEAL Gold Star families, and we said let's do this project to launch the brand, and we'll do a limited edition where United Cigars will donate back 25 boxes to the foundation to raise. It should raise a minimum of 10,000, but they're projecting it to be even more, and
Oh
I'll touch
wow.
on that in a second. But we're donating 25 boxes back. So I sat down with Weber at the Ventura factory, and we started to create this blend. I wanted something that was approachable but still medium plus,
Hmm.
and we came up with this blend and launched it as the Gold Star limited edition. And where the foundation's expecting it to be more than the 10,000 that we were initially projecting.
That's insane.
Um,
That's
what
awesome.
was what was special was the box that he took to the um, to Normandy just last month. And in Normandy at the beaches, at Omaha Beach, they were actually unveiling a new monument to say thank you to the men that passed there, because the SEALs were the first ones to hit the beach.
Hmm.
So there's this big memorial there. He brought a box out, and I don't know, you must have about 20 or so signatures, 30 signatures from Navy
Oh wow.
SEALs. And on July 13th, there's going to be a dinner that I'm again humbled to be able to attend. But there, that I mean, that one should, that one's going to bring a lot to the charity. So
That's
it's
fantastic.
a pretty special project, yeah, that we're really proud of. And again, only 210 boxes were produced, boxes of 20. So every cigar that somebody purchases at a retailer now is helping the cause. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
my
pretty special.
my cohort on the Cigar Coop Coalition, Ben Lee, was also a fierce supporter of anything veteran related. So
Yeah.
he was gonna get him regardless. But he spoke to he felt the same way. He's like, my God, this cigar is fantastic. He's like, this is box worthy. I was like, well, get one while you can, man. Um, but it's I mean, it's a heck of a project, man. Hell of a blend. I mean, that was a cigar that really stood out to me. And this happened. There was a couple of cigars that did that this year at the trade show. A lot of the cigars didn't get quote unquote Vegas like they typically do because it was at a different time of year. The humidity wasn't as bad, but
Right.
there were still some things that fell victim. Um, but it was interesting to me. I had like three or four cigars, the Gold Star being one of them, where I had smoked that towards the end of the day and had numerous cigars before it. My palate was shot, and that thing still sang through it, and it was just unbelievable. And I've really enjoyed it. I've had a couple since, and it's just a fantastic cigar, and what a great, like you said, what a great cause. So, well done, well
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll take it, when you work with a manufacturer on a blend, and, Weber, um, Ventura, says that that particular blend, a lot of the guys in the factory and even himself, like they kept it, and they're smoking it themselves
Oh, that's
as a blend
awesome.
that they really enjoy. So yeah, it was cool. Cool working with them, and putting this whole thing together, and it just means a lot. Means a lot.
To go back to what your responsibilities with United Cigar is the head of marketing and sales. You know, typically in corporate America, that's almost a moral conundrum because the marketing and sales usually combat each other. But I find that in the cigar industry, we flip a lot of things on its head. And you've really done a fantastic job in this dual role of head of marketing and sales because I think you understand, given your retail background and everything like that, you understand what what it takes for how a cigar should look and also how a cigar should taste. So you have that really unique perspective um, to what gets a cigar to sell from a visual aspect, and then also obviously what a good cigar tastes like too. So,
Yeah.
um, but what I think deserves recognition too is there are a lot of things that you could have done in some of these rebrands, right? Like you did a rebranding of the United, you did a rebranding of La Giana, or as you called them, a facelift, not
Right.
necessarily a rebrand.
Right.
But you could have done something really over the top and gregarious with him but I think what I really liked is the restraint that you showed, and simplicity but elegance. Like the United now just pops. Those color, the red, white, and blue, just it just absolutely pops. The La Giana looks fantastic, and but even like with like the Garofalo, the Red Anchor, and now this Gold Star. I mean, the Garofalo is a G. The Red Anchor is the Red Anchor. The Gold Star is a Gold Star, like you were saying.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's not overly complicated, but they're gorgeous, and they just really, I mean, they, like you said, they're easy for that familiarity for a cigar smoker who wants to return to it.
Wow. Um, thank you. And yeah, thank you, thank you. Um, so I guess part of the simple. So yeah, my look. If we rewind a little bit, my role with United Cigars is because again we're small. It's the operations complete. From the production to the marketing to the sales. I have a lot of help now because we do have some reps on the road. We got six guys out there, plus we have Agnes, who's in the office now making calls and handling territories and being more of a account liaison, and that's been a tremendous help. But outside of that, it's myself. So I take on a little bit more than I can chew with some of the projects, but that simplicity comes, I think, when I was getting into some of that facelifting repackaging. I think it was geez, I should know this. I think it was in China, the Cohiba lounge. It's the Cohiba atmosphere. So there's no branding. It doesn't say Cohiba. It's just there are images that bring you back, to what that brand is. And knowing how, FDA was coming down on everything, and packaging was a question. And when you look at, our northern neighbors in Canada, and you can't have
Anything.
um, anything,
Mhm.
right? So just trying to simplify things so that people can recognize the brand without being overly descriptive, or too much packaging, or I learned a lot of that from Nelson as well. When you look at Atabay, the box is this beautiful white, clean, piano finish lacquered box with the Atabay logo on the top.
Mhm.
You open up the box, the Atabay logo's on the inside, and that's the same with Byron. It's this elegance in the simplicity.
Right.
So when I looked at some of these brands, even if Firecracker, I guess, is a little more intricate in a way, because I wanted to incorporate a lot more, and that just kind of goes back. Firecracker started, just I was sketching in, when I was sitting in the Dominican, and I wanted to go back to these old um, Norman Collins, Sailor Jerry tattoos, and I was piecing things together. I wanted this, just this American image of this eagle. If you look on the band, there's an anchor on the bottom too, and it's a red anchor. So we knew red anchor was coming. So that's just kind of,
A
snuck
little
in there.
Easter egg, nice.
Yeah. And so just kind of keeping things simple will help people remember what they're smoking. And even if they don't remember it, they'll, like, you were talking about, they'll walk into a shop and say, yeah, it had a red anchor on it. Oh yeah, that's the red anchor. I had a gold star on it. It had these red, white, and blue pinstripes. So yeah, trying to keep things simple. Some of it, I guess, didn't make total sense. United, with the pinstripes, it's offset. I pushed it over to the left side of the box, so it's not centered, which everything else seems to be centered. So, um, good, bad, indifferent. I just think it kind of stands out a little bit on the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very clean look, and like you said, I mean, the United Cigars line is a value price line. I mean, it's a steal at the price range that it's in. But again, I think it's a delicate balance, man. And you guys figured it out how to do it, how to budget it to where it can be possible, right? Where you're not, you know, unfortunately, there are brands in the industry that the cigar that you're smoking, what you pay for the cigar, you're paying for the packaging.
Yes.
And you've shown how you can do it, because that box is, it's not cardboard, it's not cheap, and it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous, and you make if I could put this kind of descriptor on it, it is the precise definition of an affordable luxury.
Wow. That dude,
Right?
you are look, yeah, but thank you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we try to keep everything under its value, if if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like even Red Anchor, we made that retailer friendly, but that's probably in the United portfolio that we manufacture, the brands that we own. That's a cigar that is would be considered our luxury lines in the United. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
then when you go past that to Atabey and Byron, those are the luxury lines.
Right.
But in the end, when I look at a blend, or when I look at packaging, or when I look at marketing ideas, or even describing a cigar, I got into cigars because I enjoyed them, and it was a way to relax, and it was a way to connect with somebody that I either knew, or maybe I didn't know, and I was just meeting for the first time. But that's what we all know. That's a cigar community.
Right.
I can look at my friend base, and in the cigar industry, and if you it's almost like you go back to the movie Breakfast Club, right? They was it Judd Nelson who said, no, would you talk to him in the hallway? No, probably not. But they became friends because they had that connection of detention.
Mm-hmm.
We become friends, and because of that connection in cigars. And
Cigars.
there aren't too many other things that can bring you together. Everyone has, I mean, there are different groups, and people have different interests, and that's what brings them together. But yeah, cigars are just, I think different, because you're able to communicate as you're doing it. Like, we may have
Mm-hmm.
a passion in baseball, so we may go to a game, but you're not talking the whole time during the game.
Right.
You're not learning about that person during the game. Or you may be a NASCAR fan, right? So you're going, and you're going to NASCAR, you're talking about NASCAR to different people, but you're not able to communicate the entire time. We have about an hour and a half to have those conversations, and to learn about each other. And there are likes and dislikes, and there are people in lounges that you may not get along with even in the lounge, but during that time, there's just a connection.
Right.
And so I try, and I'm a simple guy to begin with. I don't want to overcomplicate my life. There's enough stress in my life that I don't show, either in conversations through business or anything else, because who wants to hear about my stress in life? Now, we've sat down, we've had conversations that, get a little more intimate. And that's where, that cigar, and when it's just the two of us, or a little more personal conversation, then you have an even deeper connection.
Right.
Um, but cigars, I just wanted to keep everything simple.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
it's a passion.
that's awesome. I mean, it's, yeah, and it's really coming to. I feel like the United, where when we first started these conversations, and when I first met you and everything, like, you know, I think people had heard of United. They'd certainly heard of the brands, especially one that we're going to be talking about that celebrated 30 years in a second, a few minutes after our presidential trivia segment. But even like Atabey and stuff like that. The first time I had ever smoked an Atabey, I smoked with you on the air with Coop and Loomis. That was the first time I'd ever smoked an Atabey.
Wow.
And and you know, I mean, it's come so far in just that short amount of time. Um, you know, and that's, it's a test of, resilience, but it's also a test of, like, showing the flexibility that it takes and the diligence that it takes to keep going in this business, because this isn't an easy business. A lot of people think it's easy because everyone's
Right.
just so fucking relaxed all the time, but it's
Right.
not, and And I think,
It's a grind.
yeah, it has to be.
It's a grind, Bear.
And
It's an absolute grind.
and it's finding the right people too. Like, I mean, like you mentioned, you mentioned your, you know, your good friends, the Frakes down here in industrial, down here in
Yeah.
Texas, you know, like, you know, they were, and I know you've had tons of other great partners. They're just proximity wise, I just know about them. But like, they were one of the early adopters. They were the people that bought in, and you
Yeah.
guys have partnered together, and you guys have helped, you know, own that together, and look what it's become. You know, it's
Yeah.
the first Byron Lounge, right? They were the first Byron Lounge.
Atabay. Yeah, they were the
Atabay,
first
Atabay.
Atabay Lounge. Yeah, and that was again, I started in 2016 with United Cigars and introducing. Again, rewind. When I started with United and that first meeting, I had come from Vegas. We were selling Macanudo Portofino on our cigarette hostess trays for $20, which was offensive. Cigars that were at 15, right? Cigars that were at $15, $20, like that was expensive. So when I left Vegas and I moved back to Boston, and then I sat down with Dave and he's giving me this this lineup. First, it was all right. Well, that's a lot of cigars that I've never heard of, and we started smoking it. And the first one he gave me was an Atabay, and I did I cut it and I did a cool draw. I must have done a cool draw for like 5 minutes. No joke, 5 minutes of just a cool draw.
Mhm.
And I think that's another thing that I think people forget and miss that step. And we talk about, okay, do a cool draw, but when you see someone do a cool draw, and I do it too, sometimes you'll do a cool draw you'll take a couple puffs and you're like, all right, that's a cool draw. Yeah, it tastes good. Let me light up because we want to get it going. But there are some cigars and then some tobaccos and some experiences with the cool draw that just start that escape. And
Right.
that Atabay experience was for me was just next level. I had, when he started talking about Atabay and saying, okay, well, this is the luxury part of the lineup. I want you to smoke it. And it's a 20 to 30, $40 price point. I was like, all right, yeah, like, I don't want to be a cigar snob, but yeah, that's expensive. But then like I said, I did that cool draw and I just stayed on it for so long. And then when I lit it up, it was again for me next level. It was a different experience that I hadn't experienced before.
Mhm.
And then he started talking about the history and Nelson Alfonso and the aging process behind it and everything about the cigar. And then I started learning about the rest of the portfolio and to have somebody that I had met 2 or 3 times prior and we had conversations, and then for him to present this to me as, listen, we have these lines and it hasn't been brought nationally outside of the show once a year, because I think Nelson started going to PCA, might have been, or IPCPR, RTD even at the time, 2009, 10.
Yeah, something like that.
United Cigars didn't roll selected tobacco into the portfolio until 2012. So it had been on the market, but there was this apprehension to bring in a cigar at that price point.
Sure.
And when I
Yeah.
started, there were many a retailer that would just say, well, at that price point, that's Padron, that's Davidoff. You can't swim in that pool. I said, I understand, but this is what it is. This is what selected tobacco is. This is who Nelson Alfonso is. This is the process that the cigars go through. And then it was sitting down and really just having people experience it. And
Mhm.
I kid around with Nelson. I say, look, because he's not removed by any means, but he's just not able to travel to the U.S. as much as I think he would like, because he's kind of a one man show as well. Plus,
Mhm.
he's doing all the design work for all the
Right.
all Cuban brands. But he's very thankful, and saying this growth, it wouldn't have been possible without that united team. And he's thanking me. I said, Nelson, all I did was basically I opened the doors to a closed museum. it's like having the Louvre in Paris and the doors are closed and nobody can see the artwork. And they're like, well, I'm not going to pay to go in there. You know what? It's just a bunch of artwork. All I did was open the doors. And I still believe that if you're, if you're ready for it, if your palate's ready and you're able to experience it and you sit down and you smoke an Atabey or a Byron and even the Bandolero,
Mhm.
a hidden gem, you, if you're able to
I've always thought so.
experience the different nuances and how that, that aging process changes a cigar, then you start to buy into the fact that your time is worth the $20 or $30 that you're paying.
Yeah. I, just to kind of bring this back to what we're talking about with your son's discipline and everything. Obviously, that's something that you instilled in him. But was, I mean, I know you're a very confident person. It's one of the things I really love about you, Oliver. But I know you also have you have a really high degree of humility. Do you think that if I can get you to talk about yourself in this regard just a little bit, do you think that you're one of the very few people that could have tackled that portfolio and done what you've done with it because of your discipline, because of your focus, and your
Yeah, I mean, that's hard for me to answer that, right? Because there are other people that, look, maybe if I was, um, because I do consider myself humble, and that's, I don't know if that's Kenny Chesney or I play that for my kids, be humble and kind. Um, I am humble, and I think, that's, it could be a downfall too. Because if I, you have that arrogance and you're just out there constantly and saying me, and you're pushing it, maybe it gets out there more, but the steady growth, building relationships, again, because that's what cigars are revolved around. It's not, I'm
Mhm.
not going into a shop and saying, hey, you need to buy this, put this on your shelf. If it's not your time, it's not your time.
Yeah.
It's not going to do us either side any good if you take this on, but you don't believe in it. If you don't believe in any of our products, from Firecracker or La Mesa Cubana, a $6 cigar, if you don't believe in it, it's not gonna work on your shelf.
Well, what I think is really genius about it, a lot of there's a lot of companies. It's not like you're the first person to do this, but there are a lot of companies that have, I'm going to call them gateway exclusives to some of their more exclusive product, right? Like, I know you can't just bring in Atabey if you're a retailer, right?
Right.
And there's,
Right.
like I said, you're not the only company to do that. There's other companies that do that with some of their brands and stuff like that. But what I think is really genius on your part, um, and to the service the service that it does to the retailer, because of the incredible array that your portfolio is, you have $6 to 60, right? There's
Right.
something for
To
everyone in that
75.
portfolio. So
Right.
75 rather. So
Yeah.
you get someone to buy into the Atabey who said, this is no, you can't swim in those Davidoff waters. You can't swim in those Padron. Sorry, Oliver, it's not gonna work. Then they finally try the product and they're like, okay, this is something I can get behind. Yeah, go ahead and give me 10 boxes. And you're like, no, you gotta believe in at least part of this other stuff. And because there's such great products that, one, that's incredible confidence on your part, but two, it really, this is why your retail experience and Dave's retail experience really do a service to the retailer, because the products that they can bring in the United portfolio are going to relate to everybody. So you're doing them a service by saying, no, we're not going to give you just Atabey, because that's only one segment of your customer base. Bring in some of these other products too, and you're doing everybody a service. And that's, I
Right.
think that's incredibly brilliant. Like I said, you're not the first person to do it, but it works so well because of the newness and the uniqueness of the product too in
Yeah.
Atabey. So.
Yeah. And I think too, so to answer, for first answer that other, the other question of could someone else do it? Yes, I mean, someone else may have done it. They could have done it better. They could have done it the same, or maybe they might have done it worse. I know for a fact there are some companies that was because we have been approached to, for someone else to take on distribution because, oh, why isn't the Atabay should be here, it should be here, it should be here. You're going to dilute the brand. Like that's not our MO. We do what we do partially because the production is limited.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not trying to handcuff retailers, right? So that consumers understand and retailers understand too. We're not trying to handcuff the retailer because from being on the retail side, that's the last thing that I wanted to hear before. But I think some companies had abused it and they were forcing X amount of SKUs and X amount of shelf space,
Right.
and we need this. For us, I kiddingly say, and look, and this is part of my downfall too, because I try to laugh and I try to have fun and I try to take stress out of my life. I equate it to a wife or a girlfriend, and I always say, look, you have your girlfriend or you have your wife, and then you have your boys. If you go out on Thursday night because it's Thirsty Thursday and you're going to watch Thursday night football, then you go to work Friday and all of a sudden it's Friday night and you want to go out again because there's something going on, and you're out with the boys, and then Saturday you're playing golf. At some point, you just have to take the wife out because that's who you truly love, and that's the one who's, girlfriend or your partner. That's the one that you have to take care of. So ultimately, you have to share that time with that person, and that's the one that's going to be there until until the end, right? And the girlfriend and the wife, whatever it is, your partner, that's united, right? You want to go out with the boys, that's Atabay, that's Byron. Those are the luxury lines that have now been built to a degree, right? People aren't necessarily kicking down the doors for it, but it's been built to the point where now when I walk into a retailer and I mention a name, they're like, "Oh, you're the Atabay guy." That, and even now it's turned to, "Oh, you're the like." I was blown away. I was in New York and we walked into a spot and they didn't even mention Atabay. They said, "Oh, you're the firecracker guy.
You're the
That
firecracker guy.
abuelo, yeah, that abuelo is fire. That I'm like, holy shit. I go, you guys have no idea what this means to me. Like you've made my entire week. Because before it was, nah, yeah, we don't need that. I mean, there were some retailers that didn't even come out of the back room because they were busy. I go, I've been in the back room. We're selling cigars. It's not, it's not that busy when we've scheduled time. And if you're just not ready for it, you're not ready for it. So what we try to do is just say, look, share in this family and we'll grow together.
Yeah.
It's not that we, yes, we don't want Atabay, and I just hit on Atabay because that's like the one that everybody kind of, most people kind of know and want now. But it's not that we don't want Atabay everywhere, but we don't want Atabay everywhere because we want to work with the right people and we want to see these people grow. We have retailers that started out and they were kind of cautious at first, and then all of a sudden they're starting to see numbers grow, and then they're ringing the register for $600-700 and they're like, wow, this product's actually moving and people are coming back. This is quality. Like it's not just, hey, look at this packaging, this cigar has blah blah blah, whatever BS that people want to throw out for a cigar is X amount of this, X amount of that, and it's $30. Like you can't just put a price tag on a cigar without justifying it. And when Atabay came out and I learned about the process and I smoked the cigar, I was like, okay, this makes sense, right? Atabay is a cigar that's aged for 5 years. It's a cigar that's rolled, shipped to Madrid. So logistically, yes, it's partially a nightmare, but it's aged in a room with 5 different cedars. Nelson has a process that he doesn't share everything, and I can't share all the details, but when he lowers humidity and then raises humidity, so the cigar is actually taking on a life and purging any other impurities that might be left in the cigars for the first year. And that's Bandolero, Byron, Atabay, Alfonso. It purges any other impurities in the cigars. He brings it down to 40%. Then when he brings it back up to 70 plus, the cigar is now increasing in size, right? It's breathing in all the humidity. And that humidity is already, the water droplets have already touched all the different cedars. So now that's going into the cigar. And when you're able to experience that, and when you're able to understand, okay, this cigar goes through a process of aging. It's not, hey, this cigar is 5 years old. It just sat in a room for, for 5 years in a humidor at 70% humidity, 70 degrees. No, it goes through a process.
Right.
So that's similar to, equate it to dry aged meats or wines or scotches. If you look on the back of a bottle or the front of the bottle, in most cases of any spirit or wine, they talk about the wood and how important that wood is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same with cigars. And that's what Nelson does for
Yeah.
selected tobacco. So Bandolero for a cigar that's anywhere from about 11 $12 retail up to 19, depending on your state's tobacco tax. um that's a yeah, and again, I say it humbly because it's in the portfolio, so it's easy to say, but that's a cigar that should be higher priced because it sits. It's not just rolled and then aged for 30, 60, 90 days, whatever people want to do for regular productions. It's aged for a minimum of 1 to 2 years, and then it's put out to market.
Yeah, I always said that the Bandolero was like the sneaky really good cigar that was just kind of sat in your portfolio. And it's great because it does go through that same process and everything. Well, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Oliver, let's we're gonna come back to a couple of other things that you guys did this year that were really fantastic at the previous two trade shows. But before that, we have to get to our United Cigar Trivia Presidential Trivia segment, which of course is brought to you by United Cigars, featuring La Gian Havana, United Red Anchor, and distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, Yaya, Arnold Andre, Firecracker, and the highly acclaimed Atabey, Byron, and now Alfonso lines from Selected Tobacco. Smoke one today and start living united. So, did an array of questions tonight. Like I said, we're gonna make this a big one tonight here, Oliver. So I had a little fun with your personal history. So start off with your son's college, named for President Franklin Pierce. Franklin Pierce,
Oh boy.
of course,
Yeah.
of New Hampshire, but not one of the most well-known presidents by any stretch,
No.
but it had some interesting fun facts about him. So Pierce was nominated by the Democratic Party to run for president in 1852. Spoiler alert, he won. Despite being from the North, he was actually pro-enslavement, not the best thing that's aged well in 2024. But it appealed to Southerners, which is why he won. And he was opposed by a Whig at the time. So not a Republican. This was back when they had Whigs and Democrats. So he was opposed by a Whig candidate who was a war hero and his commanding officer during the Mexican-American War. So who did Pierce defeat in the 1852 election, who was his former commander in the Mexican-American War? Was it A, Winfield Scott, B, George McClellan, C, Zachary Taylor, or D, Stephen Kearny?
um Only with time, I don't know. With time frame, and I'm probably a little off, but I'm gonna have to say Zachary Taylor.
Close. So Zachary Taylor was a Whig, but it was actually Winfield Scott. So
All right. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's interesting. Even though the Mexican-American War was like 20 years prior to the Civil War, it's astonishing if you go back through it, like how many officers were prominent in both wars. And we're talking about 20 years difference in time. So, Winfield Scott was actually was Lincoln's first choice to command the army. And that didn't last very long because he was already like 1,000 years old. So,
Wow.
then he went through several commanders before he ultimately finished the war with Grant, and they won the war and everything like that. But yeah, no, so an interesting bit of trivia there that he actually defeated his commanding officer, which what an absolute bragging point that was probably. So
Right.
considering
I think.
Go ahead.
Well, I think Franklin Pierce, didn't he wasn't he credited with the design of the U.S. stamp with the ridges on the sides?
Yes, that's actually true.
All
Yeah,
right.
nice,
I
nice.
was kind of hoping you went that direction. That's all I knew. All right.
um, it's funny he never got into politics, but Stephen Kearney's an interesting choice. He's actually the Mexican American Mexico Mexican American war hero that was responsible for the conquest of California. And the reason that we have California in the United States today is because he.
Wow.
But I mean, this is a guy who conquers California, was responsible for the gold rush essentially by taking over that piece of land during that war. Like man, if you ever wanted to run on something politically speaking, that would have been something to do it with. And but no, he was only a military officer through and through. Never got into politics. So.
Well,
But
I might get myself canceled here, but I think if more people, and myself included, knew a little bit more about history and what this country, for as young as it is, went through in comparison to the rest of the world, we'd have a better understanding of each other and much more patience and appreciation for everything, and just stay away from some of the things that are going on. We're not
yeah.
innocent as a country, but
Mm-hmm.
we're far more innocent than many of the countries and their history.
No, 1,000%. I think
Right.
that yeah. I mean, we've had our dark spots as a country. Slavery
Sure.
being the
Yeah.
probably the ultimate unforgivable act, so to speak.
Trail of tears.
What we did to this country's natives peoples, not good
Yeah.
either. So I mean, like
Yeah.
it's a long list of bad laundry, but
Right.
it's a quote from a TV show, but I have to say that it rings true, and it is always brings me pause. My father instilled this into me a long time ago, that and it subsequently became a line on a TV show, The Newsroom, and it was that as much as America is screwed up over and over again, and that it's always a country that says that we can do better. And that was something my dad taught me, was that
Yeah.
for all the screw ups and for all the things that we get wrong, we're a country that is always striving to get better.
Right.
And wherever you are in present day, it may not always be the brightest spot, but it's a country that's always trying to get better. And for my father, that was enough that's enough for him to be proud to be an American, and that's something he instilled in me. So definitely.
And as much as people, not everybody, but for some that believe that we're as a country not as accepting as others, go travel. Like I know growing up, even my entire family's my immediate family's here in the States. I got my parents and my two brothers and then their offsprings, but the rest of my family's in France. And I know when the McDonald's was coming in, like that was holy shit. No, stop. We're not, that's
Stop
American.
traffic.
We're not doing it, right. And people go, you can't just cross over borders there. And for what we have and what we are, I mean, it's just there's a lot of good, and there's a reason why a lot of people want to come to the States. There's a lot of opportunity, and a lot of good, a lot more acceptance than I think there is, than not. But
And that's what I really love about this segment, is because I play with tricky waters because I try not to get political, but it's when you talk about history, you have to talk about politics. But
right.
they're interesting points of discussion, and they're interesting forks in the road of history when you think about our country, when you talk about our country's leaders over the past 250 plus years. And I love it because it allows for that open discussion in a very quote unquote safe space, because we're talking about history. There's no argument, right, really, about it. It's just a simple, trivia question that I dig up and find, and then you get to have really great discussion points on it and stuff. So,
Yeah.
we're doing 3 questions tonight. So that's just first
All
one.
right. All right.
All right, so let's go back to your time in Las Vegas. All right, this is a very simple one. So, first sitting U.S. president to visit Las Vegas. Very simple question, but it's a little bit of a trick. Okay, so that's my only hint
Right.
to you. So,
All
first
right.
sitting U.S. president to visit Las Vegas. Was it A, Herbert Hoover, B, John F. Kennedy, C, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or D, Teddy Roosevelt?
Hmm. So yeah, I mean, you're saying there's a trick. Not that it's really affecting my answer. I'm gonna say Hoover as
Final,
final.
final answer? Okay. That was the trick, man. Yeah, you would think
Ah,
Hoover,
no,
Hoover Dam.
Hoover
Yeah,
Dam,
yeah.
right
So
now.
it was actually Franklin Delano Roosevelt became the first sitting president to
Uh,
visit Las Vegas. So yes, Herbert Hoover was the first one to visit Nevada, but he actually didn't go to Las Vegas, but FDR did. So but
why
he
was
was
there a
there.
reason?
Why he didn't go to Las I don't know.
Or why
Why
Roosevelt went to?
probably because it was starting to gain prominence as a stopover for GIs right before the mob took it over.
Okay.
It's
All right.
probably it was starting to become and in point of fact, I think he might have flown into Vegas too, like at that point, and then they traveled to it. But he was there. He was actually there in September of 1935 to dedicate the Hoover Dam. It was actually called the Boulder Dam at the time. It's pretty renowned. The former senator from Nevada, Senator Pittman, was the one who told the details about the visit and everything, and he was actually the person who put into a place about taking away the name. But back, so they called it Boulder Dam. It was originally Hoover Dam, but because Hoover and how he botched the Great Depression and everything, they took it away, and it was Boulder Dam, and then come back in 1947, and then it's back to Hoover Dam. So
Wow.
at least the name eventually got back to
That's
to
interesting.
Hoover. So, but have you ever been? I know we've been out. I mean, you lived in Vegas for a number of years. I mean,
Yeah.
have you ever been? I mean, what? I mean, is it
To the dam?
to the dam? Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to the dam. Boulder City's a lot of fun. Small town, but definitely something to check out. Going out to Lake Mead, um,
Is it
a few times. So
all it's cracked up to? I mean, is it a sight to see? Like, is it like, hey, I should go out there one time. Like, I should go out there once in your life, kind of thing.
yeah, Hoover Dam you should check out. Now they built this bridge, and it was just, I mean, I don't even know what, probably like 10 years ago now, the way time flies. But there's a bridge so you can bypass Hoover Dam. Before, when you were going to like Arizona, you had to cross over Hoover Dam.
Oh,
So, but
okay.
I've been there, and the history behind it, I shouldn't even talk about the history because I don't fully know. But the number of men that died building that dam is insane, and how they did it to push the water to the sides so that they could build up the middle, and the amount of cement, and yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, it was.
I got to take a refresher course on that because that's actually, yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, it was an architectural marvel for the time. Considering the forces of nature that they had to battle and stuff, and its technology was as much as it was advanced at the time, but obviously safety precautions notwithstanding, there wasn't much
Right.
of those. So it's like it's really
I don't think OSHA was around then.
definitely not. Well, OSHA wasn't around when the pyramids were built either, but it's
Right.
what one of the things that's fascinating about, like, just even in modern history, you think about like the Sears Tower, the Empire State Building, the Hoover Dam, these quote unquote modern marvels that were built, and but for millennium, as a civilization, as people, we're obsessed with building, and we find a way to do it. It's one of those
Right.
things. It's incredible. So definitely worth checking out. I have not been, so that's why I was asking, and
Yeah. No. Yeah. You got to check
uh,
it out.
gotta check it out. Okay. All right, trip with the kids. All right, so here's the last question of our United Cigars presidential trivia segment. Um, taking from a note from your relatives in France and your time in France as well. over the span of 11 years and four U.S. presidents, President Charles de Gaulle of France met with U.S. presidents on French soil 6 times. True or false?
De Gaulle met with French, 6 different, or
On
met
French
with.
soil, met with U.S. presidents 6 times on French soil over the span of 11 years. True or false?
I'm gonna have to say false.
It's actually true.
True.
Yeah. So get this.
Wow.
This the time span kind of blew my mind too. So the first time on French soil that a U.S. president visited, with de Gaulle specifically,
Eisenhower.
yeah, in 59,
Yeah.
in Paris specifically. Dwight Eisenhower goes again in 2 months later, in late 59. President with he did a conference with de Gaulle, British Prime Minister Macmillan, and German Chancellor Adenauer in 1959, in December of 59.
Huh.
He returns in May of 60 to do another conference with de Gaulle, Macmillan, but this time Soviet Premier Khrushchev is actually present in 1960. John F. Kennedy visits in late May, early June of 61. And then Johnson actually doesn't go, but Nixon meets with him twice, in February of 69 and then November of 70. I did not have the months memorized, but yeah.
So 3 total
3 total presidents, the span of
3
11
total
years.
presidents.
Yeah.
6. All right. Wow.
All met with President de Gaulle.
Wow. Okay.
So
that's interesting.
So here's a question that I thought you would have some interesting insight on. Because I can't imagine a president in 2024 having to meet with the president of France twice during a term of office.
Right.
Let alone 3 times in some cases.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly not trying to bag on your family or anything like that, but is France's position in Europe, has it changed all that much, or was de Gaulle just de Gaulle and he was that important during that time of history from your perspective?
Yeah, I think you're looking at I said no originally because I was thinking of the time frame and post World War II reconstruction of France, Paris, for 6 visits. So it must have been some part of reconstruction. And de Gaulle is still to this day, I think, the favored as the by the masses as the as the favorite. But yeah, I don't know. No, I think it's definitely changed. But
is he kind of like, again, I'm putting you in a spot to be like an authority on French history, but like, is de Gaulle like equivalent to, like, is he like the Lincoln or the Washington of French politics?
I would put him there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, the guy was president for over a decade, and and just always seemed like there were a lot of positive. I'm sure if I go revisit some history, I'm sure there were some less bright spots and everything. But like, yeah, that was interesting to me. It's just like, man, we visited France a lot, and it just seems like we wouldn't do that today.
Yeah, in a short time.
In a very short time.
59, you said?
59 to 70.
And then 60.
Yeah, 59.
Right,
60.
right. But 59 visited twice, and then in 60
visited twice.
May of 60. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to check like what was going on. Maybe you like the wine. I don't know. Just going out. I don't know.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to find out what during that time frame what was a big deal.
Well, that was our presidential special trivia segment, sponsored by United Cigars, featuring La Giana Havana, United, Red Anchor, and distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, Yaya, Arnold Andre, Firecracker, the highly acclaimed Atabay, Byron, and now Alfonso Lyons from Selected Tobacco. Smoke once a day and start living united. Now, one of those brands that I just mentioned a second ago, and I kind of teased it a little bit earlier too. I mean, what a big year it is for La Giana Havana. 30 years,
Yeah.
30 years on the market, and you guys come out and celebrate with a fantastic looking cigar. What a special looking cigar that the La Giana 30th anniversary is. Tell us a little bit about the cigar. Is it a limited production, or is this going to be something that's part of the portfolio now?
Um, well, it's been well received. So is it, could we continue with a 30th? That's possible. It wasn't really in the, in the script, so to speak. But because for 30 years, one, it's a huge milestone, right? You know, for La Giana, which originally just had the natural and the Maduro. The angelic, there was a sweet tip a while
Yeah.
back, but that went away, and then it was reintroduced a couple years ago so that we could continue that, the United theme where the boxes, the packaging, when it's on the shelf, is red, white, and blue. The red for the natural, blue for Maduro, and the white for the angelic sweet tipped. But so when I was redoing and kind of creating the 30th anniversary, um, it was an interesting project because I didn't want to make it like a 30th, like this is going to continue on as like a line extension, but more of a celebration. So changed up the packaging, right? Did the bands all in gold, the box gold, and decided to come out with a barber pole because I wanted, that dance to happen between the natural and the Maduro. So I wanted it to be a barber pole. I don't, even myself, I don't gravitate necessarily towards barber poles, and I think that's safe to say for the masses. But sampling and blending that line, and it's even ramped up a little bit because I wanted it to be a little more elevated in strength and body and character. But to do the barber pole, I wanted it to be a good celebration of both the natural and the Maduro.
Mm.
So it's and it's a 30th at a $12 price point.
Yeah.
Again, we were trying to keep things approachable. So if we can continue that, yeah, and if it's something that's requested and something that we want to do, then we'll probably continue it. It was well received at the show, and it's been doing well. So we'll see what the plan. You might have to call an audible and continue that, but we'll see what happens. But it's yeah, I think it personally, I think it turned out great. Yeah, I've been enjoying them, so it might be a cigar that we'll continue to see, hopefully.
The La Giana was the one of the cigars that you did the quote unquote facelift to, and it's got such the the a label with a person or a facade of an individual and everything is a very classic look in cigars. There's a lot of brands that have names on them, or pictures of people, infamous or non, like Gloria Cubana or
Right.
Bolivar and someone infamous, things like that. So I mean, was was that a challenge, or was that a positive when you were trying to kind of really push La Giana into prominence when you kind of took over the portfolio?
So that one, La Giana, when it originally came out, there was a cherub on there, and it
Mm-hmm.
was there's always been that the face of the cherub, and there were two cherubs on the side. And when we were going through the redesign and that facelift, um, we were lucky enough to have Nelson Alfonso. So he designed the new band and the labeling to kind of keep the look of La Giana, but make her into, make it a little more elegant, because Gianna is now a woman,
Hmm.
right? I mean, she, it's been 30 years. She's, she's grown. The, the style, and then the box design, I wanted, I wanted more of that drawer look, which I thought was unique. And now that you mention it, that there are faces on bands that, are a part of cigar history.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if there's another child cherub or anything on a band.
No, not that I can think of. Yeah.
No. So I'm surprised we haven't been canceled there. Don't do it out there. Don't do it. But yeah, I think yeah, to answer it. So yeah, Nelson Alfonso helped with the design of the band, and the and the box art, which again, I wanted it off centered, which and then there's a little, took a router, so there's like a little line, a little divot, because I started to think of the box, could it be made into an ashtray? And that little divot, if you're familiar with the box and you see it, there's like a little, you know uh, uh, piece taken out, that could, if it was bigger, could rest a cigar, and then could that turn into an ashtray? And that's, that we've played around with, so that the box can be repurposed, because that's a big part for all manufacturers, and anybody selling a brand. The box isn't cheap anymore. So, and they just get thrown out constantly. And the stacks of boxes that are in front of, retailers that are selling for $2, $1, the days of people making purses and guitars and, all that jazz is kind of gone. And, people collect them and people still want them, but, I wanted to try to figure out, a way to repurpose this box. But originally, when I was doing that design, if you look at the La Giana box, there's a sticker on the top that has the La Giana, and then the line, and then when you flip it over, it'll be the same thing. There's a sticker on there that's La Giana and the line. So the top and the bottom are the same. And the reasoning for that was, with the rulings that were coming out, where you had to have X amount of percentage for packaging, and then there was X amount that had to be warning labels, and that was the direction we were going. We said, okay, well, if we put the warning label on one side, somebody can slide that out, flip the box over, and then put the top, in the back, because there's a slot where the the top part of the drawer, I guess, when it slides out,
Right.
can fit on the back.
Yeah.
So
It's that
if there
wedge or
were
whatever at the
right,
the last cigar company.
if there were a warning label on the top, then you could turn that over and then still display the box without the warning label.
Right.
So we just kind of played around with different ideas. So yeah, I wanted something different and something unique. If you put a little knob on the front of that box, I actually have my display for my computer sitting on top of a box, so that I can use it for, a drawer underneath. So it's just something, yeah, something different. But still just kind of kept it, again, kept it simple, classy, a little different, offsetting the logo on the side. But I'll say that Nelson was the one who designed the band, still keeping with the old model of the cherub and the look, but
Nice.
he helped with that kind of restructure.
Yeah, I mean, 30 years, certainly something to celebrate. Not a lot of cigar companies don't make it that long, let alone brands, for it
Right.
to be on the market for that long, and for it to just to keep growing in popularity. It's fantastic. Uh, what a cool story, though. Like you said, it was named for Dave's daughter,
Dave's daughter. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she was a baby, and now she's an adult.
Now
And
she's, yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah. So
um,
when I came on, that's why I was saying, she needs one. We need a redesign, because it did have that old, what's known as, what I know, and what I'm always reminded of, that old Dominican look, which was just this brown lacquered box, and that was kind of, the design of La Giana. And yeah, I felt she needed, we needed to present her as, a more mature woman and a little more elegant. And I guess maybe even like a sister of Atabey, where Atabey is like this, mature, elegant
oh,
movie star
nice.
woman, right? But La Giana more approachable in pricing, and um, still smooth, refined, made in Honduras. under the the watchful eyes of Davidoff, made at the Camacho factory in Honduras. So it's, fantastic construction, great blend, and very easy and approachable.
Couple others things we have to go over here too, and of course, ending with one of I think was the sneakiest good releases at this past year's trade show, but a cigar that another limited cigar that you guys wanted to put out. United jumps on the Year of the Dragon train. There's plenty of Year of the Dragon cigars coming out.
Yeah.
And I know this has happened to you before, Oliver, but you guys have everything, and then it turns out, there's a trademark out there hiding in the weeds, and
Right.
and you guys again very gracefully and incredibly as you've done before, you guys pivot, and you guys have the unnamed cigar that for the Year of the Dragon, and I mean what a gorgeous looking cigar that was, and I absolutely I never had the opportunity to smoke it, but I mean the blend looked phenomenal, and I know that's got to be frustrating for you. I mean, we've talked about this entire show, like the effort, the diligence that you guys put into branding and everything like that. I mean, God, that had to be frustrating.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating. Could we have dug a little bit deeper? But when I looked at it, and the idea came because every year there was this new year of cigar that was coming out, and we
Right.
didn't, we wanted to do something a little bit different. So it was going to be the Dragon Slayer for the Year of the Dragon. So not everyone, but different companies were coming out with Year of the Dragon,
Right.
and we wanted to be the Dragon Slayer. So worked with Ram at Artista and Alfonso over at Artista Cigars, and we had this cigar, and they were on board to make the cigar for us, and we had these the ashtrays from Humidif, as the packaging. Again, trying to repurpose packaging because there's so much waste. So we said, okay, well, the ashtray's on a little bit of an angle, so it was 8/7, so 15 cigars. The bands were, I would say now looking at it, were very like, and this wasn't the idea, but very, but a Partagas 150-esque. But it was really the colors of the Chinese New Year, the red with the gold. So it said Dragon Slayer. There was gold on it. The bands were made. Everything was done, and it was on a pallet. And this was December. No, it was December, because that's when the release came out. The media started to let everybody know that there was a lawsuit against against a company from another company, that was saying that they own the rights to Year of the Dragon. But underneath that, it said they also own the rights to all these different names, and Dragon Slayer was on there, but it was Dragon Slayer as one word. We had it as two. And when I researched it, I looked up, and
That's two words.
Yeah, and I didn't dive too deep because it was going to be a one-off. But it was palletized, ready to ship. We were figuring everything out, working with our exporter, and everything was stopped. And we decided to take the approach of, all right, well, look, this company did their work. They wanted, that was a brand that they never came out, but that they own the rights to. And let's just strip everything down, and we'll take the hit, but we'll put it out there. So we had to take the bands off. We had to take it out of cellophane. We had to remove the barcodes, remove the the stickers that were on the outside of the ashtray that said United Cigars and Dragon Slayer, and then just come out with a cigar that was a cigar with no name.
So this is the perplexing part to me. Okay, it's like, fine. Okay, so Dragon Slayer's trademarked. Okay. So you entered another part of it that I actually didn't know. So you actually got dinged on Year of the Dragon. Oliver, there were 5 other companies.
Oh,
and I think
more,
I was going to say, I think
yeah.
I'm shortening it. I think it's 10 companies with Year of the Dragon or Chinese New Year stuff that came out this year. So what?
If we had done Year of the Dragon, I think we probably would have still moved forward. But because it was something different, unique, because for me, I still don't understand how you can own a name that's part of a calendar, a zodiac calendar that's over 2,000 years old.
No shit, right? Yeah.
So but taking a name and saying, okay, well, it's Red Anchor, right? But we had Red Anchor as one word. I would appreciate a phone call, and I've made phone calls to some companies that I'm like, look, I'm sorry we didn't know, or hey, look, we've been working hard on this and we own the rights to it. We rather you didn't come out with it, or could you stop doing it? And those companies have graciously said, okay, yeah, no, we didn't know, or we think it's different and we think it's okay. And we're like, well, listen, if we don't come to terms through this conversation, then all that means is we'll have to get lawyers involved and both sides will pay. Nobody's going to be happy. So unless you're like just dead set of this and married to it, let's just come to an agreement.
Yeah.
So, for us, it was, we did 500 boxes. It was a small run. It was a one-off thing. We could have made a phone call and said, hey, could we do this? But at the time it was just, we just said, all right, well, let's just go a different direction. Let's do the right thing and not do it. And we've done that. We've done that in the past too, where we know that it could have been, with my love of the Red Sox and Fenway Park, but it was a phone call and someone said, all right, well, and not even to us, but to Christian Aroa, it was a call made to them and saying, you can't do this. And so we just put that to bed too, because we're trying not to ruffle feathers. It's a small industry. Right. We know that it's a grind. We know how hard it is. We know, trademarking is important. You have to protect every piece of it. So, we just took the higher ground on it and said, okay, well, we'll get it another way.
It was a masterful pivot, Oliver, because it was almost seamless. Unfortunately, I mean, the unfortunate part is the sweat, the grind, the work that you put into it, and then you had to make that pivot. But like, it's one of those things. Dave was on my show a couple years ago, and he said that no one, he'd be hard pressed to find if anyone's been approached legally more times than him about trademark stuff. And I think he almost kind of wore it as a badge of honor, and in a way that I think, like you and Dave really are kindred spirits, is this striving for creativity and pushing the creative envelope, and with that comes a certain amount of risk, and like you said, sometimes you unfortunately have to pivot and everything. But that was just my question. It drove. I didn't even know about it until you actually said. You kind of took my question away from me. I was kind of blown away. I was like, okay, so Dragon Slayer's a problem, but Year of the Dragon's not. But apparently Year of the Dragon was a problem too. So like, it's just that befuddles me because of just how many releases there were and stuff. And that's a shame because so many other people got to profit from that, and you guys couldn't necessarily do that, and that stinks. But
like I said,
it looks fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, again, we're trying not to ruffle too many feathers, and look, we've been on both sides. There was another one that was a one-off for a company, but it was too close to Atabay, and again, you have to protect trademarks, and I think once you start involving lawyers, then it just gets complicated and it gets sticky. And unfortunately, we had to go that route because they didn't want to come to terms, and in the end, we came out ahead. But that's not what we want to do, and we don't want to be on the other side doing that to someone else. So you can research all you want and do what you can, and even with our firecracker, it's got the fuse, it's got have the fuse on the end, but there have been some other like little knockoffs, one-offs where people do the same size and they put the fuse on the end, and they try to make it theirs. We don't have the trademark on it, but um, I've made a call where it's just, hey, look, we've worked hard to try to build this. That little piece of extra tobacco that looks like a fuse doesn't do anything for the cigar. It's a novelty. It's a gimmick. It's marketing. It is what it is. We do it because it's firecracker. So instead of just closing it off, putting a cap or doing a pigtail, it's just extended tobacco. It fits because it's firecracker. So, would you mind, going a different direction, sell through that and be done with it? But yeah, they've agreed, and I think for the most part, most people have stayed away from it. And some companies have come out with it, and some larger companies have come out with it to try to, I think really, try and hurt us, or maliciously, but in the end, like we're just trying to stay in our lane. We're trying to grow. It's a grind. It's just, we're a small company. We're trying to do the right thing, and in the end, we're trying to smoke cigars and just enjoy life.
Yeah.
I kid around. I'm in the bottom of the fifth of my life, right? So how much, I have a couple more innings. I want to enjoy them. I want to play hard, and I want to enjoy the game. I want to look up at the crowd. I want to see the lights and just enjoy it.
There you go. Well, one of the sleepers of this year's trade shows, I mentioned the Gold Star, we talked about that extensively, which I'm smoking now happily. This is a fantastic smoke, but cigar that I've been enjoying immensely with the 20 days of United Cigars and 20 Days of Freedom campaign that we've been doing on social media is the newest release from United Cigars, the Connecticut, which is fantastic. And it's interesting. Coop and I were actually at a disagreement with this. He had said like he was really stoked about this because he's like, this is obvious to me. This totally makes sense. I think he even said it to you at the trade show. He's like, yeah, I knew that United line needed a Connecticut, and I was kind of like, I'm not so sure. Like, not that I'm opposed to another United cigar at all. And I love a good Connecticut as much as the next guy. But I was wondering, because again, there's the Maduro, which that's by itself. There's no confusion there. But you have the natural. And I thought that there might be some confusion with the Connecticut. I mean, they're two completely different cigars. So that's probably a reason why it works and everything. But, when you had this kind of lighter shade version of the brand already, what went into the thought of the Connecticut? Is it because Connecticut sell and it's a great part of the market and you just wanted to do it, or what?
Connecticut's the number one.
Yeah.
It's the number one seller. We didn't have it in the portfolio. So I wanted to, again, as much as I love being creative, as much as I'm allowed that creative freedom, of course, authorizing sit down with Dave and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. United Cigars, I just felt needed a Connecticut. The natural is great, which is now, and this industry is funny because that natural is what? It's a Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, which could be considered, and I don't know if if it's valid, if I should give credit to Fuente, but I think it's Fuente when they came out with Sun Grown, which was like, holy shit, like sun grown. I need this, but everything's kind of sun grown. Like they were smart, but they made it into something. So sun grown is that natural, and we've gone away from this, Claro, Colorado, this spectrum, and now it's just natural Maduro, and now we're adding sun grown. So our natural kind of becomes the sun grown, and then we came out with a Connecticut this year, because I wanted a Connecticut, and the Connecticut that we were getting from ASP was beautiful and just had this different taste. It started with La Mezcla Cubana, there was wrapper leaf that was just short. We couldn't use it for anything else, and the factory wanted to see if we could use it somehow. So we did it with La Mesa Cubana, which turns out to be a $6 cigar, which got, well, yeah, I'm going to deviate, but so anyway, we used it. I wanted to use it again, but still an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, but I wanted to use it for United to kind of round out that portfolio for the time being. Who knows? But now we'll have a Connecticut, sun grown in Maduro, and it was the same thing with Firecracker.
The Firecracker Connecticut, because you had the Black
Right.
Bomb that came out,
Right.
and then the original release, and then now the Connecticut too.
Yeah.
What a diamond in the rough it was for you guys. I mean, it smokes phenomenal, and it's it's really rich. It's very creamy. It's just a very quintessential, embodiment of what Connecticut typically is. And man, I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
Thank you.
Which makes it great for me, because now I can enjoy all the United cigars, because I'm a big fan of the natural as well. The Maduro is king for me, but I don't know, man. This Connecticut's coming for it, because it's really stellar. But what a great addition to the portfolio that it was. So you mentioned the Firecracker a moment ago, and then and just now again with the new Connecticut, and then of course the Black Bomb came out last summer. But talk about a brand that's not to be too punny, but I have to say it, that's blown up. As from what it was a few years ago. Let's call it what it was. That was an exciting limited release. You partner with, some of your closest, Dave's closest friends and manufacturers and partners over the years to create these limited runs of just, really great versions and cigars and everything. Everything from the La Flor Dominicana to the Roma Craft, the Wise Man.
We're done.
Oh, shit, man, that was good.
Yeah, the Wise Man was good. The Bandolero was phenomenal.
The Poppy,
the Perdomo, the Big Poppy was great.
Yes,
the Perdomo was good.
Oh man, that was lights out. That was so good. Nick did a hell of a job with that. We've
done Christoph, Fratello. The HVC, the Black, the Black Friday, which was kind of a one-off, right? Because that was in November. But then we did the All Saints last year. We did the All Saints St. Patrick's Day Firecracker, because I wanted, so I started looking at holidays. So I did the Irish Car Bomb.
The Irish Car Bomb, yeah, I was gonna say.
Which didn't go over well.
Yeah.
Right. It went over well for some consumers, but then there was a lot of pushback from people that were Irish, and they're like, hey, you can't joke around about this stuff. I'm like, it was a phone call. I'm more of, look, if there's a problem, I'm going to make a phone call, and I've done that with several people, and they're taken aback, like, oh my gosh, you're calling, and there are keyboard warriors, and a lot of the ones that were keyboard warriors, and all of a sudden it's, I track down their phone number and I give them a call, a little stalking maybe, but I give them a call and I'm like, look, you said this, and this. In one case I was like, I don't think we've ever met. And if I've done something to you either online or, indirectly, I go, I would just like to try and correct it, because that's just not my personality. So, and then it turns out, no, it's not that, it's this and that. So we correct it. In this case, I legitimately said, I'm going to plead, American ignorance, because I grew up with St. Patrick's Day, and it was the Irish Car Bomb, and it was made with Jameson and all Irish, and Guinness and Bailey's, all Irish. So forgive me, I wasn't connecting the two, but you're absolutely right. This will be the last. This is a one and done now. We won't call it that. We'll change it up, and you're right. And so then the following year it turned into, which just made sense, the All Saints, St. Patrick's Day Firecracker, barber pole. And so we'll see if that's something that we continue with. Candela is always tricky. Does it sometimes it looks green when you start, it doesn't always turn out green, and then if it's too green, yeah, people are a little apprehensive on it, but I'll give credit to Romacraft. I actually love that, their candela. Um, but it's tricky. So, we'll see. Maybe we'll do something else. And then we did Rojas, worked with them on the elote firecracker. Again, because I looked at it, I'm like, these guys came out with street tacos. I can't believe I missed that one. That's so good. It's so right. I love street tacos. They came out with, the name brilliant. Can we work together and do something for Cinco de Mayo? And we did the elote firecracker.
Mm.
So it's a fun project for for me to work on. It's a fun project, I think, for retailers and consumers because it gives something new and something to search for, and let's try and see what it's like to try this cigar in a different size from that manufacturer. So yeah, it's fun.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's a great segue naturally into our fun segments. So this will take us into our final questions of the night, Oliver. So this first
All right.
segment, of course, is Everybody Eats, sponsored by Pastania Cigars. If you always make sure that your servant's towel is bigger than your appetite, everybody will always get theirs. Pastania Cigars is more than just great cigars made by cool people. They embody an attitude of gratitude and grit. Pastania, everybody eats. So you just talked about it. You are the taco guy, man. It is. I had um some um some tacos chica y blanco tonight. So white girl tacos, flour tortillas. I know it's an abomination, but
All right. All
they
right.
were tasty. So really good stuff. But I love a good street taco. I know you're an aficionado of them. So I won't ask for your best taco experience. That's too cliche. But I do want to ask you about the worst taco experience you've ever had. And I would also like to ask about your most unique taco experience or one of the most unique ones that you've ever had. So, what was the worst taco that you've ever eaten?
Um,
And the answer might be the same,
well,
to be
well,
honest.
yeah, yeah. No, well, there are two. One, anytime because there's good and bad when you try to and I claim to be because I even have an Instagram that's Taco Majesty, which doesn't mean anything, but it's just I was like, all right, let me chronicle my taco adventures. But um, so then that turns into someone like you'll say, I'm going to take you to the best taco spot, or you need to go to this spot, and I go, and it turns into more of a restaurant style, and all of a sudden a flour tortilla comes out. It's ground beef. Yeah, they don't have any of the legitimate proteins.
Accoutrement. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. And um so there's that, and then I don't remember the spot, but it was just a bad tortilla. So a cheaper corn tortilla, but everything just falls apart.
Oh god,
And
that's the worst.
yeah, and
Uh,
I try to, yeah, if I can, I like to go. I'm more of a to understand like street taco. I'm talking legit street taco. Like I want a taco truck, or if they have like a little outlet, hole in the wall where they have a counter that sells tacos, so that I can order every different meat. But if you go to a spot and they're like, oh no, it's only the three meats. I think the one that gets butchered the most is the carne asada, and it turns into like little cubes of beef, and it's terrible. But
just
yeah.
too
So the
chewy.
worst, yeah, the worst one was yeah, it was a yeah, again I forget where it was, but the corn tortilla completely just fell apart, and the carne asada was like a skirt steak that was just rough and rubbery and
Oh
nasty.
jeez.
Um,
I'm gonna have to take you to Main
uh,
Street Tacos here in Azle. That's where I live now, Azle, Texas. It's a nice little restaurant off the main street in town, and some good stuff, man. They have some really great tortas too. I know that's not your thing, but they have some really great
oh
tortas.
yeah,
But
but I like a good torta.
the street tacos are pretty good, and the meat's really good. The salt and their salsas are fantastic, fantastic, and made fresh. They have a fresh salsa bar, and it's just really good, really good.
Are you close to Plano?
Not even close, man. I'm on the other side of the
Oh,
planet.
all right. Okay. I was gonna say, well, for a gringo to say it's Los Angeles tacos, which is I think in Plano, really good tacos, and they have the spicy papas um,
Oh, nice.
taco, which is just phenomenal,
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, and then I guess for best experience, um, because I like to cook, because I just have passion. Yeah, I've been fortunate enough because my dad was in the hotel business, and teaching me. He has this kit that was when he went through his whole sommelier experience. It's like I think there are 3 different or 4 different books that have maybe 10 vials in each that have different oils to be, so you can pick out like the different vegetables and the different, everything. So you can smell all the different flavor notes to help you understand wines. So
Oh, okay.
he always brought me through, traveling, and then, his business, always trying to educate me about wine. And I didn't appreciate it, younger, but as I, got older and got into, more hospitality and everything, I started to learn more. But so I think I have a pretty good palate, from good and bad, and that's where I have a deep appreciation for tacos, because in its simplicity, it can be so good, or it can be just so bad,
So bad.
right?
Yes.
But so I say this, and long-winded, but so I like to cook, and my even my son, for his graduation party, him and all of and his friends wanted me to cook tacos. His senior baseball senior night baseball game. They usually do, like, okay, it's senior night, they do hot dogs and hamburgers. I said, look, that's great, but my son's graduating. He's a senior. He works hard. I'm going to do tacos. And his friends and the team, they wanted me to do tacos.
There you go.
But the best experience was when I asked my daughter for what she wanted for her birthday. This was 2 years ago. Um, what she wanted for her birthday, for for a meal, and she said she wanted my birria tacos again.
Oh yeah.
And
Let's go.
that that's my, even though it was my cooking, right? But that that was my best taco.
Nice.
Not necessarily for the cooking, but just because that's what she wanted. Yes, they were. I thought they were, I thought they were good. Um, and because it's a long process to
Yeah.
make birria, but when they're good, they're good. And I think, again, for tacos, it's got to be the right balance. Some places try to do too much of the protein, too much meat, and there's not a good balance. So you don't have a good balance between the tortilla, the meat, the onions, cilantro. I like it very simple.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah,
The la
that would be my best.
the last time I made birria, the consomme was the best that I've ever, again, humbly speaking, the best consomme that I've ever tasted, and it was the best consomme. But I couldn't. You were talking about tortilla. The tortillas that I used were just abysmal, and they were not cooperating, and it just sucked. God, it sucked. They were falling apart on me. It was so
Ha-
frustrating.
Have you made your own yet?
Tortillas? Oh yeah,
So yeah. Oh yeah,
yeah,
it's so good.
yeah.
And the
But I
flour ones, like, if you have time, just, it's not flour necessarily for the tacos, but just for wraps. And
yeah.
they're pretty easy to make, but then they're so good when they're fresh. Like,
Hmm.
just that, a little bit of butter. That's it.
Yeah.
Just eat
So
that all day.
so I used my grandmother's recipe. Yes, my grandma was Mexican. She made her own tortillas, and she did it the fast way, and then she did it the slow way. And the fast way, it's 3 ingredients or 4 ingredients. It's a little spritz of lime, flour, and heavy cream and salt. And
Huh.
that was her easy way. And then of course she did the hard way was with manteca, and of course you got to get the lard and all that other stuff. So,
Oh yeah.
but that's a little bit more labor intensive and everything. But the easy way with the heavy cream, believe it or not, they come out really good. They're really rich
That's
and they're fantastic. And
that's interesting.
those come out really good. But awesome. So that was our
I'll have to try that.
Everybody Eats segment brought to you by Pastani Cigars. So next up on our segment list, we've got our asylum moment. Refuge is more than just a physical place. It can be a state of mind. Some of life's greatest reflections can be found on our own personal asylum. Moments like these were made for Asylum Cigars. So light up an asylum and choose your refuge. So, Oliver, we were talking about your project that's behind you. And as far as building a new deck for your new place and everything like that, that will probably be the site of many asylum moments over the next
The posts are up. There's no railing yet.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask this question this way. This is a little bit different because I know you've been on the show a number of times. You've answered this question a number of different ways, but this one's a little bit deeper. How, again, you're at events all the time. This is a community-based thing. We're around people all the time. Cigars are meant to be shared, meant to be enjoyed. But for all the moments that we get to have that are by ourselves in the cigar, how important is it to you personally? And how important should it be to cigar smokers to have a moment of asylum where it's just them and the cigar?
Sorry, I just almost lost my drink as my phone fell over. How important is it?
Yeah, how important is it to you personally to have those asylum moments, and how important do you think it should be to a cigar smoker?
I think it's very important because I'd say the majority of people are not smoking cigars out of a habit, out of a necessity, outside of the necessity of taking a break from reality, from life, from stresses. Cigars are meant to extend your life, because they take the stress away. There's too much complication in day to day that we allow to consume us. And I've found that even when I'm working in the office, or even doing events, or doing traveling, I'm not appreciating the amount of time and the number of people that have touched a cigar, worked on a cigar, to bring it to market, not only ours but every cigar. There's all we have is time. That's our most valuable asset, that we can never get back. It doesn't matter how much money you make in your life, how many people or impact. In the end, I think we just look for more time. And I think take a moment and go back to that cool draw, 5 minutes, that I did, on the Atabay. Take time when you're selecting a cigar and lighting it up, taking the cut. It's all about that experience, that little carve out of your day that you have to sit down either by yourself to reflect with a book, with a thought, with a moment, with a view, or if it's with a group of friends, family, or other aficionados. If I'm answering that right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, and in point of fact, I have a great example of that. Now, granted, I was with people and stuff like that, but like you said, you got to take time and take moments. I had the opportunity of coincidentally meeting up with you at your old spot when we got there for PCA this year, Cigar Box. And what a fantastic host Jason Samuelson was. I mean, just wonderful. And
and that's who I worked side by side with for 14 years. Was Jason. That's awesome.
Unbelievable spot, and just unbelievable hospitality. I haven't, again, not to pat myself on the same back, I haven't had an experience like that since the days I worked at Michael's. And I know there's great lounges all around the country, and I'm not trying to say that anything about anybody else, but Jason and his staff was just top notch. And I took a cue from you. I took the coincidental meetup. Wasn't because of you or other than the coincidence of seeing you and everything. I was like, you know what? We're about to do PCA. We're sitting back. I'm gonna enjoy a moment with good friends. And so I grabbed an Atabay and just enjoyed the moment.
Yeah.
And so that's what
It
it's all
mean
about.
the cigar smokes differently because sometimes on my retail experience, when people would come back from a trip and say they smoked whatever cigar, and then maybe a year later they go back to it or something, it's a different experience. And they're like, yeah, no, I didn't like it this time. It's something, did something change? The blend change, and sometimes it's just the environment or the
Yeah.
company you're in,
Yeah. 1,000%.
or the mood you're in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are cigars that were memorable to me that just frankly speaking weren't great cigars, you know, just overall. I mean,
Yeah.
they weren't terrible, but they weren't like wow. But the company, the moment
Yeah.
was what was memorable and made it a memorable cigar moment. So yeah, I totally get that. All right. Well, that was our asylum moment. We kind of teed up the answer to this question. You didn't answer it, but this last question, which of course is our last segment of the night, which is our Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust curveball segment. Fastballs or curveballs, it doesn't matter since the company's inception. Steve Sock has been knocking them out of the park. Yep, count them up, guys. 9 consecutive years in the consensus top 3. Congratulations to our good friend, Mr. Steve Saka. So we kind of teed this up earlier when we were talking about the portfolio of United itself and just the vast array of cigars, price points, characteristically speaking, that you're allowed to offer as a representative of that brand. So I thought this would be an interesting exercise. And this isn't what are your favorite cigars outside of your portfolio. That's not what this says. But you're a strategic person. I know this about you, Oliver, and you have a very analytical mind. So I thought it'd be an interesting exercise. If they've said, oh, opened up the world of cigars to you, not necessarily a brand. It can be a brand or it can be just a specific line of a cigar that it's left to interpretation. But he said, you can pick, Oliver, you can pick 3 cigars that we can bring into our portfolio. Any 3 that exist out there. What 3 would they be? And again, these aren't Oliver's favorite cigars outside of United. That's not what this is.
Right.
This cigar would fit well into the portfolio because of X, or I think I could do something with this, or this would be interesting because that's kind of what I'm thinking here.
Wow. A cigar that we could roll. I just shifted in my chair because that's interesting. Um, three cigars that we could bring into our portfolio because I think we could do something with.
Yeah, that you would fit. You could fit nicely. Either it's different than what you guys have, or you would just fit nicely into, or you just think, man, that is a cigar that United could really do something with.
Hmm. Oh, that's interesting. Um, well, so I think the first one only. I mean, it's known worldwide, but that I had an incredible experience with was the might have been 95 or 96 Oyo de Monterey Double Corona.
Okay, okay,
So
yeah,
so only selfishly, right? I don't think we'd have to do anything like if that was just in our portfolio. Like yeah, we do great with. But it was I had an experience with that cigar at this. It's no longer in existence, but it was in Vegas. It was a jazz club bar and off the strip. But I had
this was the
smoked
answer
one.
to your asylum moment a couple years ago. This cigar.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that same cigar,
Yeah.
like that to me just sits as like one of my best top experiences because I think it was either the moment or just the cigar, but I would roll that into the portfolio because that just still to this day sits with me. And that was but I smoked it in like in 90 98 98, 99. So that one, and that would just be awesome. Um, Two, I have to. I guess I would say, and we're just talking any brands that are brands out now.
Anything, yeah. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't have. Yeah,
So
again, it can. Like I'm not trying to answer for you, but like if you wanted to say the entire Davidoff line, then say it.
right,
But if you were like
right.
the Davidoff Grand
That's too
Cru
easy. Right,
specifically, like
right,
or something like that's fine too.
right,
Again, it's
right.
an open interpretation
Yeah,
question. I love your answer. I love your first answer. I think that's great. Like
yeah.
that's beautiful.
I think because I love this dude and he works hard. I think we both understand that the grind that we have to put in, and that's Mo from Patina. I just bought a box. We did an event, which was a cigar pub crawl for Casa de Monte Cristo to elevate to the Byron Cigar Lounge. So the three lounges that they own, and it was a trolley tour. There were 100 people that had signed up because they had to pick the number of trolleys. And his newer Nicaraguan,
The Oro de
I bought a
Nicaragua.
yeah
Oh yes.
I just bought I bought a box, one to support him anyway, but two, I love it. And I think he's great. So yeah, I mean to be able to work with him to do something with Patina and I don't even like saying roll it into our portfolio, right? It would be an honor for him to allow us to roll into his portfolio or just work together. And then um so that would be two. And then three, with one that I don't and I say it cautiously because I don't fully understand, because he kind of goes against everything that, not everything, but a lot of things that I believe in, that I do. But you mentioned him earlier, Steve Saka. Like it seems like everything he does, it hits gold.
Yeah.
But
Midas touch, man.
he's one that very different. Like he's great at the social media side, and he's very interactive. He started out as a blogger, so I think he
Yeah.
understands that. So he can write, and I'm terrible at that. Like if my teacher told me, hey, I need a paper done and your assignment is it needs to be a minimum of 100 words, I would write 100 words,
100 words.
right? But Saka would be like, okay, well, I'm going to write 1,000 words, and I'm going to put everybody down, and I'm going to say how bad the industry is. I'm going to say how bad my life is. I'm going to say how bad my cigars are. I'm going to say how bad everything is. I'm going to piss on everything, and I'm going to say how shit everything is. And then all of a sudden, everyone's like, yeah, and then they go towards it. But he puts out a good product too. Like
Yeah.
that's what I mean. I say it cautiously because I'm not putting him down. But when you look at, like, there's
Oh, his
no blueprint.
self-deprecating humor is
Holy shit.
is hilarious to me. It's
If I know
comical.
if I said half of the shit he says, like we'd be out of business, right?
Right.
Because it just wouldn't go over. But for him, like that's his personality just kind of works towards that, and it
Yeah.
and it works, and then his product backs it up. Like
Yeah.
not taking, again, cautiously, not taking anything
Uh,
away from that. But I would say
I
for that, I would say, yeah, give me Saka's, you know Midas touch.
I love Steve for a number of reasons. With that, that really kind of takes the cake. Where and I give him so much shit. He's the one in interviewee that I've interviewed several times. And I take it as a personal challenge. He challenges me every time. He's like, "Man, I'm so tired of doing these interviews because I just say the same shit. You're surely not going to do that to me, are you, Bear?" And it is a personal challenge to me to ask him questions that no one else has asked, and to dig deeper than I normally even do with him, because he has this, and there's a lot of people in this industry that have wonderful insight, but he has this tremendous insight that's so counterintuitive to his own success, but intuitive to his own success at the same time. And
Hmm.
he's very self-aware, to his detriment to sometimes, to put a point on it. But it's very, what I call, it's very classic Steve in the way that he kind of operates his game and stuff. And because like I said, I gave him a lot of shit this year because when him and I first talked, it was the Now Leave Me the Hell Alone Lancero release that he did a few years ago, and we were actually talking on
Right.
the phone, And he's like,
Brilliant.
it's just a Lancero. It's not that big of a deal. And I'm like, well, first of all, I've smoked it, Steve. It's not just a Lancero; it's a phenomenal cigar. Oh, you're just saying that it's not good at all, and like his his self-deprecation and everything, and it's phenomenal. And then I'm like, okay, so we have that, and then this year at PCA, I'm sitting down on that couch of his in his booth, and I said, okay, so years ago, Steve, you said this to me. You said it's crap. It doesn't. Who the heck cares? Blah blah blah. And now you come out with the collection of them. So who what?
Right.
So
Right.
he's like, yeah, but it's a shameless money grab. I even put it on the box bear, and
Right.
it's just
Right.
it's just classic. It's hilarious. I actually had an answer to this question for you, Oliver, and it was it's a real grab out of nowhere, and it's not that this company did poorly with the cigar. They're just a really big company, and when you have a really big company, some cigars succeed and some don't. But a cigar that I thought was a phenomenal cigar, and it just kind of got gobbled up with the rest of their portfolio. And this is a hell of a blender too, by the way. Willie Herrera's Herrera Esteli Brazilian
Mm.
that he did. I don't think they've discontinued it. They might have. It's slowly fading away from shelves, but they've even talked about how it's kind of gotten gobbled up, unfortunately, with some of their other offerings. And that's unfortunate because that's a heck of a cigar. And I think that would be a really interesting add to the United portfolio because it would be like, okay, it's Brazilian, it's different than the other Maduros you offer. It's it's also selfish on my part because I really enjoy it. But for whatever reason, when I was drumming up this question, I was like, I want to answer this one too. And that was the first cigar I thought of.
Yeah. Don't you think that our industry as a whole, like I think we're creatures of habit, which goes back to like kind of the packaging where people think they know the brands, and there are some that they just know the brand, they stick with the brand, but
Mhm.
they're for the good and bad, where some people will say, and I don't want to, well, I'll say Perdomo. I'll say Perdomo only because Perdomo's just a giant. They make great cigars.
Mhm.
Um, Tobacco's phenomenal, great, great packaging, everything. But there are some people that will say, I don't like Perdomo. And then if you just ask one question after, which Perdomo don't you like? They're like, oh, well, I just don't like Perdomo. They have like 30 different, I don't even, I don't know how many blends, but right, how many
Mhm.
different blends do they have? So you've tried every single one and you don't like any Perdomo? I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Rocky Patel's kind of the same thing. You can't say you don't like Rocky Patel because he's got so many different blends. You don't like anything from the portfolio. So then the other side is, everyone's like, oh, what's new, what's new, what's new, because they'll come, people, retailers will come when we do the show, they'll come to the booth, what's new, and I'm like, well, which line do you carry of United? Which one have you tried? Because this isn't new, but it's, we have it and it's available, but they just want new, 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 and we're so hung up on this new that Brazilian could be a great cigar, but then it's just not common. Like
Mhm.
it's not, it's not in the cool kids crowd.
Right.
Nicaraguan nobody cared about Nicaraguan before. I
Yeah.
remember smoking um Valari Valar. I don't know if do you know that
Yeah, I
brand, Valari
remember.
Valar?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that.
So when that came out, and I think FD Graves, wasn't that Nicaraguan?
Mhm. I
I
think
think.
so. I
I
think
don't.
that's right.
All right. Well, Valari Valar I know was Nicaraguan. So at the time, like there was, nobody. I loved it, but Nicaraguan was like bad tobacco. Like nobody wanted it, and Dominican at one point was like, oh, this is really mild. All Dominicans are mild. So everyone just kind of, we I think we kind of flow. We go with the flow. We go with the current, and
Yeah.
we might try a couple things, but then we go to what the crowd is going towards. So, it's unfortunate if, I don't know enough about the Brazilian, that blend, if it's doing well or if it's not, but if it gets lost, it's because I think as consumers, we want to experiment, but then we're so shy to just stay with stuff that isn't known. We're not comfortable in our knowledge of cigars, or
Well,
what? I
it's
don't know.
until someone breaks the mold, and it's really interesting. The pioneers in this business have they're one shape, like in one way, shape, or form. At one point, they upset the apple cart. You said it. Dominican cigars were mild
Yeah.
until Carlito Fuente came out with Opus X.
Yeah.
Right. Nicaraguan cigars were crap
Yeah.
until Nick Perdomo's dad said, "Look at this soil." And then Hoya de Nicaragua's been doing it for years, and then
Right.
Drew Estate, and then now half the industry is there in Nicaragua, right? Lido Gomez,
I'd say they're the popular kid on
yeah,
campus now.
right, exactly.
Nicaragua. You say everyone says I like Nicaraguan.
Yeah, Lido Gomez you can't use Ligero tobacco.
Right.
Lido Gomez
Right.
says, "The hell I can't."
Double it up.
Yeah, I'll double up. And now Ligero's in every blend, and that
Right.
was something I noted to him in an interview. It's like a couple years ago at PCA. I said, everyone around this room, everyone in this room now has a debt of gratitude to you because you took a risk.
Yeah.
Now there's Ligero in everybody's blend.
Yeah.
Because they need balance. It needs balance, and so you have to have it. So like it's somewhere at some point or other, these quote unquote industry giants took a risk and did something. Dave's a great example too. Like again, he took a chance on Altabay with Nelson.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
He's a relative unknown, goes to a trade show in 2009, and Dave's on his way to another appointment. Says, "Yeah, let me smoke this cigar." And how expensive is it? Okay,
Right.
You know what? Yes, let's go.
Yeah.
And that's history right there.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah. I think with anything, like if you believe, let's go back to my son Luke when you were saying, "Do you think he's going to make it?" I have no idea, but in the right moment, in the right time, putting the work in, believing in it over time, like things can happen. And if you do something with a passion and you do something with a true belief, then you can make it work.
And you're willing to risk. Yeah, you're willing to risk. You're willing to gamble. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So yeah, this industry is a beautiful thing for a lot of reasons. It's filled with a lot of tradition, but it's filled with a lot of gamble too.
Right.
Right.
Really great. And sometimes too much gamble. Like we as an industry, we gamble a lot. Like, oh, we're going to do this fancy packaging. We're going to call it this name. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to, it's new. But in the end, it's just, we need to refocus on what's true, what's real, and what we believe is good. Yeah. Like that the United Connect, the La Mezcla Cubana. I'll go back to it again. It's a $6 cigar. It has had higher ratings from some people than an Atabay, and from that same person, group or whatever company.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee you, they're both in our portfolio. La Mezcla Cubana and Atabay, both in our United portfolio. Bear, if I give you both of those cigars and say, smoke these the same day, tell me which one you like better. You will not pick La Mezcla Cubana. I guarantee it over Atabay. You won't. But for it to rate 2 points, 3 points higher on whatever scale we're trying to. Yeah. It's but I don't know. It's a crazy industry. Yeah. But I love it. I've been doing it way too long, and I'm gonna end my life doing it, and I can't see myself doing anything else.
That's awesome. Well, that's a great note to end the show on, Oliver. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much for coming on. Again, we're 10 days. We're halfway through our 20 days of United Cigars. Hashtag 20 days of United. Hashtag 20 days of freedom. Light up a United, excuse me, for the next 10 days, guys.
Light them both up.
Light them both up. Here, join us. Join us for the next 10 days. as we march towards our nation's Independence Day on July 4th. We'll be smoking a United cigar each day. Oliver and I, and the rest of our people who are following along. If you've been so kind, if you're doing it on Instagram or Facebook, make sure you hashtag it 20 Days of United, 20 Days of Freedom, and light up a United cigar. Man, the Connecticut's fantastic. The Gold Star Limited, unbelievable. And of course, the rest of the portfolio: Garofalo, Red Anchor, Bandolero, Jose Dominguez, which I smoked first tonight, which was awesome cigar.
$6. That Fino is like $7,
and totally worth it. Unbelievable.
Ridiculous, right?
Yes, insane value. Abuelo, Firecracker, Atabey, Byron, Alfonso. An incredible lineup. Pick one, smoke one, enjoy it. Buy United, smoke United, live United, as we always say. So thank you so much, Oliver. To all of our fans and all of our audience that stayed up late with us, super late tonight, thank you so much for doing so. I'll keep those likes, shares, and comments. Keep them coming. Check out our YouTube channel, ELOSOFUMAR. Hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell as well, so you can be notified once we post each video. You can always check out our guests every Sunday night. Next Sunday we'll be off. I'll be visiting my father. Send out those good vibes and prayers for my dad as he's in the hospital. Everybody, I would really appreciate it. But I'll be taking his grandkids up to see him, so that'll be some fun. And I know that'll be all the medicine that he needs to get better. And yeah, for everyone else out there, if you're listening to us on podcasts, wherever you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, including iHeartRadio, you are listening courtesy of Gran Habano Cigars. Honest, compassionate, great cigars. Be sure to download, subscribe, and review today. And if you are reviewing, please give me some feedback, particularly to the one guy on Apple Podcasts who gave me a 1-star review. Thank you for telling me that I sucked. But next time, give me some context on why you don't like me. I can only get better from there. So the 1-star means nothing unless you just tell me why I'm terrible. So anyway, we appreciate all those likes, shares, and comments. Right. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I will say, speaking of 1-star, every box of United has 1 star in it.
There you go. Absolutely.
And that's from Stars for Our Troops. We donate back to that foundation, starsforourtroops.org. We donate back to the foundation. Veterans cut out stars from flags that are no longer in use.
Retired flags.
Because we donate back to the foundation, they send us the stars. We send them to the Dominican in every single one of our boxes of United. A star goes in there, so it's just a way to give thanks to our veterans and our first responders that are out there. So 1 star is not that bad, Bear.
Yes, absolutely. Great time. Love it, Oliver. Thank you so much. All right. Well, everyone, as always, I'm your host, Bear Duplessis, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star studio of Azle, Texas. He's Oliver Nivaud. And guess what, everybody? We'll see you next time.
See you guys.